Yeah, so there probably won't be a lot of maps this time, but...
Oh,
All
that's
right.
good, because the app
So...
can show maps. That works for me.
Oh, wait, Bing? Eric? Oh, no, that's Twitch telling me. Yeah, I just turned it on, so... All right. So yeah, you have basically 2 days before your ship to Laco and Dixon Star leaves. So there, it's basically days off, so you can do whatever you want. I mean, if you want, we were doing shopping. John did some shopping, and
I wanted to put the RAM bar on the
okay.
Explorer.
Were you getting the Explorer repainted again?
I don't know if we wanted to do a repaint because we sort of like the 18 look, and just get a tarp.
Yeah,
Okay.
we need some kind of camo cover thing.
Yeah, I was thinking about getting like a tarp cover. So I'm gonna get that. How much would that cost?
Oh, I don't know, maybe 20 credits, 30 credits.
Okay. Since I can't do it on the app, can you minus that off of my credits?
Or just do it when you can get on later.
Okay.
What does it taste like?
It tastes like the soda. Now go on now, please. It tastes like the juice. Okay. Yep. Anything else you guys want to get or want to do before you leave Pale?
Hey, did everybody get themselves some water to take with them to this desert?
I
Maybe
guess
some
that
That might be some.
might be kind of useful there. Can I get Yeah, that's a good point though. Should I get like some barrels, like 3 barrels of
Ben?
water, and put it in the back of the Explorer,
Yeah,
like kegs,
okay.
so that we could
Go
tap them?
ask Thomas or
That
Trevor
would
to
be a
do
good
it in the
idea.
future there. Now, it's not tight anymore, so don't spill it, okay? Go on out.
We could top
Don't drink
off
it while you're
our
walking.
stuff, yeah.
So yeah,
Here.
I figure 3 should be enough, and we'll just replenish them whenever we get to stops.
So, are you talking 5-gallon drums, 20-gallon drums, 55-gallon drums? What are you looking for? I mean, you could technically put 3 55-gallon drums in the back of your Explorer. It'd take up probably about half the space, but...
No, we don't need that bit. I was thinking maybe like just 10 gallons.
Okay. All right, that's
Yeah,
not a
3
problem.
10-gallon drums.
So that probably costs a credit per drum.
Okay. So this.
These are the best packages.
Oh, I just saw your comment in Roll20. Yeah, I did see it, so...
All right, good.
You're good there.
Yeah, I need to bring up.
That's definitely one of the nice things. I can have all my windows visible with my giant screen.
And I'm going to write down the amount of spent on Discord so that way I can know how much
that
to
works.
follow up. All right, good. You know what? I gotta save up my points. I'm also gonna practice using the sonic disruptor I got from
Okay.
the mercenaries.
Yeah, so that's
Next
just
time I get enough
that's
points,
beam weapon
I'll take
skills.
the
So
skill. Yeah, next time I get enough points, I gotta
okay.
get that. That's gonna be a while.
Okay.
And I'm definitely gonna call my brother and tell him I'm going off world.
All right. Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, and of course I'm notifying the family. But you had a point. It's not a good idea for me to go visit at the moment.
Okay, so I want each of you to make a D100 roll for me.
Okay. Let's see this first. Ugh.
Ooh.
I roll crappy even on the app.
No, he was rolling it for you, Tom. You said roll a D100 for you.
That's right.
So that's your next D100 roll.
I get your 40 first, John.
Oh, I was just practicing.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right. So, Angel, while you're out, you just picked up the. Were you adding the stuff to the Explorer yourself? I assume.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're coming back from the shop. You got it out of the shop. You're taking it out, driving around, and you notice another Explorer that you recognize because it's one of the mercenary team's Explorers. It's got their logo painted on it and everything.
Oh crap.
Lelo.
Luckily for you,
I turn left. I turn left.
they don't seem to notice you. So yeah, you see him coming down the road, and you like make a quick right,
Go away.
and you're watching your rearview mirror as you're driving down that side road, and they don't seem to turn after you. And
And I radio the other guy. The mercenaries are here, guys. Be forewarned.
it is okay. Go on out,
I don't
please.
think they spotted me,
Don't
but
come
I'm
back
headed
in.
back to the freaking
Go
shop
talk to your brother
put
and sister.
my baby back in before it gets spotted.
Yeah, we need
Okay.
to get off world.
Yeah, we do.
Dang it! You didn't repaint it,
No, we did not.
and they still didn't notice you. You guys got lucky on that one.
See, we're just like the 18. They never
That's right.
find us.
Nobody can find us.
There you
That's,
go.
that's right. There you go. All right. All right. So that you managed to avoid them, and you guys don't run into anyone else. Since you know they're in town, you kind of are on your guard, and you avoid them. You don't have any. You don't even see them again before it's time to leave. So
Oh, good.
you managed to avoid them for the 2 days. You're getting ready and waiting. Um,
Stay low. Stay low.
yeah, the day before you leave, you get contacted by Streel, and with the exact details of um, your trip.
Mission.
Yeah, so they tell you you're gonna report to the spaceport by 0800 tomorrow. They'll load the Explorer up onto the shuttle and take it up with you. Then you'll catch your the passenger liner to Dixon Star up on Pale Station. You'll be flying. You won't be flying on a Streel ship. You'll be flying on a small, a medium-sized passenger liner. It's doing a run from Truane Star to Prenglar via Dixon Star, obviously, and it's operated by a small travel company called Trans Travel, and and but they don't want to put you on a Streel ship because you are going to Dixon Star, and with the current situation between Streel and Pangalactic, there it's just a little safer not to be on a Streel ship.
Hey, that's okay. I don't mind these, regular passenger liners. I might make some friends.
So
we're not wearing the Streel uniform, I'm assuming, correct? We're still in the mercenary stuff?
that's up to you. Well, unless you changed. I mean, it's up to you.
Nah, I'm just wearing regular civvies on the cruise. Don't want to stand out,
Yeah, but as a Rusk, we're supposed to be like very proud of our company.
So I mean, you can wear your Streel clothes if you want. It's up to you. Or you can wear the mercenary uniform too if you wanted to. Although I wouldn't wear that until you got off the planet.
No, that I'm not gonna wear.
So, and
Yeah, if I'm gonna play in character, I'm probably gonna be in the Streel.
okay. So you get to the spaceport. Unless there's anything else specifically you want to do on the planet, we'll just jump to
No, I can't think of it.
embarking and getting on your way. All right. So, you head to the spaceport that morning. Fairly routine. You drive up. There's a loading area for vehicles going off planet, and you drive up. Hand the keys to the Explorer over to the tech guys, and they.
Be gentle with her.
We will. Make sure she's strapped down nice and tight.
Come on, make sure you put a good parachute on there, and
It's a different kind of thing.
Made a rope swing out of one of those parachute cords once. My dad used to push tanks out of airplanes.
Get out. That's
Yep.
cool.
Oh yeah, he was in the 82nd Airborne, and they jumped anything they could push out of an airplane. They jumped with it. He said, I've jumped at anything that flies. I've jumped out of it. And yeah, so the cords they use for the big cargo containers and the tanks, they have airdrop tanks. It's about 2 inches wide, and it's a double layer, so it's actually a loop. It's actually a tube, but it's squished flat, and it's this nylon rope stuff, and so they had one. I don't know if it was getting frayed or what, that they couldn't use anymore. He brought it home, and we tied it up and made our giant rope swing in the tree in our front yard there in Fayetteville, New York. And when I went back, that would have been when I was in kindergarten. When we went back to visit friends, and when I was in 7th grade, between 7th and 8th grade, and it was still there in the house. It was still hanging there on the tree.
There you go. Wait,
So,
if it works, don't
that's
break
right.
it, right?
Durable stuff.
But yeah, I mean, they've got the stuff to tie it down, so there's not a problem there. So you're gonna be riding up in a whole size, what looks like about a whole size 2 shuttle. It's probably about 30 meters tall. Think something roughly the size of the space shuttle. A little but fatter. It's more squat. So that it has larger decks, and the bottom level is basically a big cargo area, and then there's a couple decks of seating above that have acceleration chairs that everybody can strap into. So you hand off your Explorer, and then you've got a couple hours before the flight actually leaves, but they need time to get everything loaded, and anything you want to have stored on the Explorer. I assume you've tied down in there, so
Yeah.
you decide what of your equipment is in the Explorer and what you have on your person for the flight, and they have you stow any bags you have for the flight, and they lock up all the things because you don't want anything coming loose when you're lifting off at 2G. So
No, that would be bad.
So yeah, the ascent is not as intense as rockets here on Earth right now, because they have better fuels and they can control the thrust a little better, and they don't run them for, especially for like passengers and that, they don't run them at 3 Gs. You have to be totally fit to take a shuttle into orbit. So they tend to run them a little lower than that. It's still you know, 1.8 to 2 Gs of acceleration, but which for Pale is almost double local acceleration. So you're going to feel it, but it's like a roller coaster ride. So, but you get strapped in, and there's, you know, the ship probably holds a couple dozen people, and it's mostly full. There's probably only a seat or two empty, and you all get strapped in, and the shuttle pilot comes on and says, "All right, we're cleared to depart. Have one last check around the cabins." There's like a crew member there walking through, making sure everybody's strapped in and into their acceleration couches and everything. And as soon as we're good to go, we'll be lifting off. So hang tight. 15 minutes, we'll be at the station. So, or we'll at least be in orbit. It'll be another half hour to the station after that. But that'll mostly be in free fall. So time goes by, ticks down. He goes, "All right, here we go." And he gives a little countdown. And you hear the engines start throttling up when he gets to about 3. And when he hits 0, you're pushed back into your chair, and you stay that way for several minutes as the shuttle accelerates up out of the atmosphere. And as you go, the acceleration slowly tapers off. I mean, it's strongest right at the beginning because you're closer to the ground, but as you gain more altitude, they can throttle back because you're not fighting against as much gravity. And you get up to orbit after about 15 minutes, and then the engines cut off. And he goes, "All right, we're in our docking orbit. We've got to catch up to the station. That'll be about a half hour. You're free to unstrap for 20 minutes or so and look out the windows, float around, or stay seated, whatever you want to do. We'll give you about a 5-minute warning before we need to start maneuvering for docking so you can get all strapped back in."
Oh, I'm definitely looking at it.
And then he signs off. So there are portholes all around the side where you can go and look out. So
How long before docking?
about a half hour.
Oh, dude, time to go float around and meet folks.
Yeah. So first off, have any of you ever not been off planet before?
I've never been off planet.
Okay.
So to me, the whole starting acceleration thing, I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. I'm being crushed.
All right. I want you to make basically a stamina check, but make a D100 and tell me what your stamina is.
Okay, my stamina is 40.
Okay.
Yeah, let's roll. 49.
That's good enough. All right, so you do not suffer from space sickness, basically. Yeah, motion. The sickness associated with zero gravity.
I would be unwieldy though, because I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, I know. Jill has. That's her backstory, and I know John has. So I'll have to have the other guys check when they get in. I'm pretty sure Dole's from off planet too, and I know Rini is. So I guess everybody. You're the only one.
I'm the only one.
You're the only one that hasn't been off world, because I know Rini's from New Pale, so he's at least made interplanetary trip. So, and John's made interstellar trips, and so is Jill. So, anyway, all right. So you don't have to sit there with a bag to your face.
Darn it.
So,
Thank goodness. But
All
I
right.
want to maneuver, grab chairs, whatever. I do want to look out a window.
Yeah, that's not a problem. There are portholes all around the deck. Um, the ones that are towards the star are tinted, so they're opaque at the moment. But um, the other half of the ship is probably actually more like 2/3 of the ship is the windows are open, so you can look out. And you're not the only one who's out looking at the windows. Others are just kind of sitting there talking. So there's you guys plus the 6 of you, um, plus 5 other people on this deck, and then there's a deck one level up. There's like a little spiral staircase that goes up to it. Um, that has probably it's probably laid out exactly the same as yours. Another dozen chairs on it.
So, any interesting people here that I might be able to strike up a conversation with?
Well, let's see.
I mean, if our van is the 18 van and I've got the highest personality score, I guess that makes me face.
Go for it, face.
All right. Let's see what we got here. Need some dice.
Actually, what is your personality?
65.
So
That's pretty high.
on your deck, there's 3 other humans and 2 Yazirians.
Cool. So I'll go over to the Azarians and say, hey, so which clan you from?
They tell you one. I don't have the clan list up handy.
Yeah, I don't either. So of course I tell them, my clan and
So
where y'all from and all that good stuff.
they're local. They're just headed up. They're on their way to. They have a daughter going to school at the Triad Institute of Technology on Cassadine, and they figured they'd go. They decided they wanted to take a trip. It's a couple actually, and they're gonna go do a little traveling for the first time ever. They've always lived on Pale, and they thought they would try it out. They're glued to the windows too, kind of looking out. So it's kind of a big adventure for them. It's just
Cool.
step one.
Yeah.
So they start asking about you,
Big universe out there.
if you've done a lot of traveling or not.
Yeah, I tell them where I grew up. See if they're impressed.
That is all. You're from Clarion, right?
Where am I from? Hang on.
You're supposed to know this.
I'm from over there.
I'm from somewhere. Now, where am I from? Is it?
I know your dad used to be in Space Fleet, but
Gollywog is.
yeah,
his
that's
home.
Clarion.
Okay.
You wouldn't call it Gollywog, but
What would I call it?
you would call it Clarion. That's the actual name of the planet. Gollywog is more of a derogatory term for the planet.
Okay.
Because it's very swampy, apparently.
I see.
But they're like, wow, you are a long way from home. You're from the completely other side of the frontier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like adventure. Where were you heading?
Oh, we're headed to Triad, to Port Lauren eventually.
All right, cool.
But we're gonna meet up with our daughter, and after that, maybe do a little bit more traveling. But for right now, we're just headed straight there. So
All
we've
right.
got a
Well,
long trip ahead of
what's
us.
she studying?
She's in the medical school. Actually, kind of cybernetics,
Really?
robotics and biology. She's got a double major.
Really? Because I'd like to meet her. I'm a roboticist myself.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, maybe we'll have to drop in sometime at Triad. We're not heading there, but we might have to drop in sometime.
Well, it's a big place. It's much bigger than Point True, so
Yeah.
we'll see how that goes.
He's Mac.
Well, you keep looking out that window. It's always an adventure the first time off planet.
And they turn back to the window and they're talking to each other. The three humans seem to be, they're not talking to anybody. They're just kind of sitting in their seats. They look like they've done this once or twice before at least. And it's like old hat to them. They're just kind of waiting to get there.
The commuter types.
Yeah, I figure I'm probably napping.
Yeah, Jill's probably wake me up when we dock. All right, so you have a few minutes, and you're starting to get your space legs under you, getting used to moving around the cabin. They're under your seats as part of it. They're a little like booties that you can strap on to your feet. They have little Velcro strips, and the floor is lightly carpeted, so you can kind of walk around normal if you want to, or you can just bounce around the cabin.
See, that sounds like more fun than me.
But I mean, there's not a lot of clearance around the cabin, so. But after about 20 minutes, the captain says, "All right, we'll start
You're
docking."
cutting out, Tom.
I'm leaning back in my chair again. I don't know why that makes me cut out, but because it actually puts me closer to the receiver for my wireless headphones.
The signal gets too strong.
Too strong. Yeah, who knows? So the captain comes on and says, we'll start docking maneuvers in about 5 minutes. So if everybody could get back into your seats and get strapped in, it's not going to be anything significant, but we will be changing velocities a little bit. And so if you're loose, you'll get bounced around a bit. So everybody get strapped in, and we'll be at the station in about 15 minutes.
Okay. Alrighty then. So I'm gonna strap myself in.
All right, so you get strapped in, and I mean, as he was calling that, if you were looking out the window, you could actually see the station up ahead. The windows are kind of domed out a little bit, so you can like push your face up against them and see forward of the ship. Plus, it's not actually going pointed in the direction of motion at the moment. So you can see the big wheel that is Pale Station. It's probably about 1,200 meters in diameter, and it looks like there are 3 rings kind of stacked on top of each other with a giant hub in the middle. So this is a pretty good sized station, and you guys, as it gets closer, I mean, it just keeps getting bigger, and then he makes the announcement, and so you have to go back to your seat. But the windows stay open, and he starts maneuvering, and the windows on the sun side all open up, they all depolarized basically, so they are open. You can see on that side there's the station. It's just getting bigger. You've moved into the shadow of the station, and then you're into the docking bay. You go through the docking bay. Your little ship can
Well,
just fly right into the
before we hit the
center.
docking bay, can I
Uh-huh.
take a picture through the window with my camcorder?
Oh yeah, sure. Before you have to sit
Yeah, I
back
want to
down.
take a picture of the space station.
Okay. So
My first time.
and you go in, and he goes, "All right, prepare to match rotation." And you can see, looking out the window, you see the station like moving past you, the walls, and there's like ships all along the sides of it that are kind of moving past at a fairly good clip. The station's rotating at something like twice a minute. And so the as you look out the window, your ship starts the apparent motion of the station starts to slow down as your ship starts to spin up to match it, and you start to feel a little bit of a tug towards the outer walls. It's really slight. It's not very much at all, but you definitely notice it, especially if you're not in the center seat in the shuttle. But after about a minute, the station doesn't appear to be rotating relative to you anymore, and and you get this weird sensation as the ship starts to move towards the wall, and you can feel like thrusters on the ship pushing you because you're trying to now move out from the center line where you were, just rotating with it to match the rotation of the wall. And then you feel the ship jostle just a little bit, and the captain says, "That was just the docking clamps, don't worry." and then you're drawn in fairly quickly, and the windows towards the station, you see the wall coming towards you, and you nestle right up against the station. You hear another thunk as the what would be the jetway in an airport, but this is actually a vacuum sealed connection tube connects up to the airlock on the shuttle. And then the captain says, "All right, we're connected to the station. You're free to get up and head on out."
Cool. Anybody need any help, with their luggage or?
It's really easy to
just trying
carry. It
make
doesn't weigh
myself
anything.
useful.
So you're feeling, at this point, you're feeling about maybe a 20th of a G of gravity pulling you towards the wall of the ship.
Okay.
I can get used to this.
So it's very light. So if you push off, you're gonna hit your head on the ceiling. Is what I'm saying. So this is the time where you may want to take advantage of those Velcro shoes and not bounce around out the gangway. So the other people on the deck get up. The three humans just kind of get up, and they're walking out. They're wearing the little Velcro boots, and they're just walking down the carpeting there out towards the airlock. And
I think I'll put the booties on too.
yeah. So and as soon as you do, it's kind of weird because you have to almost slightly twist your foot. So you notice that they're walking a little funny because you can't just when you try to just walk normal, it catches and you feel a tug, but if you slightly twist your foot a little bit, it makes it a little easier. So you get this kind of weird walking rhythm, but you get the hang of it pretty quick. And you
kind of reminds me of a cat with tape on its feet.
So you grab your bags and you head out, and you come out. There's a little. It's probably like a 10-meter passageway. This connecting tube, and you come out, and it kind of just looks like an airport terminal. you come out. There's some seating out there. There's lots of glass. So um, you come out kind of down. It's sideways, and then above you, like the ceiling is glass, and you can see out into the hub of the station, and you just see lots of ships going from nearby. You can see your ship right there above you, and um, then but going around, you can see other ships docked and connected up all around this large interior space that's probably 200 to 300 meters across. It's like a quarter of the diameter of the station. And there's all kinds of ships in there, ranging from small shuttles to, you see a couple of assault scouts docked on the opposite wall, and lots of
My
what look
dad
like
used to.
freighters and passenger liners. There's what looks like the Truing Star Militia's frigate is there in the station at the moment, and it looks like there's ships up to about hull size 10 or 12 that are docked in there. You realize anything much bigger than that would be taking probably too much room to really fit in there.
Yeah. My dad used to be crew on one of those assault scouts. Not one of those assault scouts, but on an assault scout. Yeah.
I take a picture.
All
All
right.
the shit.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm gonna make that my wallpaper.
All right. So there's display boards around, and you can see there's departing ships and arriving ships, and you can. It takes you a couple minutes, but you find your ship, the designation for it, and it says it's in a docking bay that's about a quarter of the way around the station. And there's signs you can, if you wanted to, you have about 3 hours. If you wanted to, you could leave the hub and go down into the station proper, or you could just stay here in the hub area and make your way around and just get over to where you'll board the other ship.
So they got a dock. Okay, so in the docking stations where they're gonna unload the Explorer and then put it.
Yeah,
in
they'll just move it straight over. You won't even
Okay.
you won't even see it. In fact, if you sit there and watch, you'll see them pulling your Explorer out of the shuttle. A little work pod comes over and grabs it, and
Okay, I can watch this while I'm chilling in the hub.
yeah, and
Alright, cool.
and you see it. You see it. I assume you're watching that while they're finding out. Others are finding out where your ship is, and you see the little work pod come over, and it's about the size of your Explorer, and it comes floating up to the ship, and the cargo bay is open now on the shuttle, and you can see your Explorer's in there, and there's some packaging, some like shipping containers and things like that, and the work pod comes in, and it reaches in with its big arms. It's got two really big arms and then two smaller ones, and it reaches in with the two big arms and basically just grabs each end of the Explorer and puffs its engines a little bit, and it just backs the Explorer out till it's clear, and then it rotates and it starts moving off across the hub.
Cool. I follow it.
Okay, well, you can see where it's
I'm
going.
also looking around at all the people here, though, because this is also new to me. I mean,
Yeah.
this is all fascinating to me.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm looking at all the people, the different races that are up here.
Yeah, you see everything. I mean, every race from the frontier is here on the station.
Cool.
A lot of them are heading. You see them coming out of docking areas, and they head over to the elevators. There's 6 main elevators off the docking, so you can see 2 of them from where you're at. And there's like a queue there for people to get onto them. You see one of those elevators open up, and it's like 10 meters in diameter. It's like 30 feet, and it's just like a big platform, and then everybody goes onto it, and then the doors close, and it starts descending. Um, and
Well, most of the people then are used to this stuff, but are there any like gawkers like I am?
yeah, you see some other people, like the Azerian couple that you were with. They're kind of looking around too, like this is kind of wild, and they're kind of unsteady on their. They've got the little Velcro boots on too, and they're kind of walking around, and you see them. They're kind of looking around, kind of in wonder because they've never been up here before. The three humans that were on your deck, they just take off.
They're just gone.
Yeah, they're just gone. Wherever they're going, they know where they're going. In fact, that couple goes over to the board, the like departure board, with you guys, and they're looking for their flight, their ship as well. And then they find it, and you see them hit a button, and the window right above your above the departure board like lights up with like this little rectangle around a ship.
Oh, okay.
and so okay, so they're looking at it. That's our ship. That's what we're gonna be riding. And so then, but after that, they head off to go either over there or down to the station. You don't know. You lose track of them in the crowd. So.
I want to do the same thing.
All right.
Oh, where's our ship? I want to look. I want to see what.
So basically, it's a big touch screen, and you just touch the ship name, and there's like a colored rectangle goes around the name of the ship, and a rectangle that same color appears on the glass above you. And so you see about a quarter of the way around, so it's kind of obscured just because of the angles.
Right.
But you see kind of a larger ship. It's probably one of the larger ships in the docking bay. You guess that it's probably 250 to 300 meters long, and it's probably 30, 40, 50 meters in diameter. So it's a pretty big ship, and you see emblazoned along the side in gigantic letters. It says "Trans Travel," and
we're going in style.
So
That's cool. That's my sheep. So honestly, I'm just gonna get a drink.
Okay.
That's what people do in airports and ports and stuff like that. That's what I heard.
Yeah, there's a number of there's actually up here in the hub area. There's a few small restaurants and places like that. Most of that's actually down because when you're off the ship, now that you're in would be the floor of the hub, you're up to about maybe a tenth of a gravity is all. So it's still very, very low gravity up here.
Okay.
Yeah, because the centripetal forces from the rotation of the station only they get stronger as you go further out towards the edge. And where you're at, you're only at a tenth to maybe a 15%. So at the most, it's like being on Earth's moon. So if you've ever seen videos of astronauts walking on the moon, that's kind of what you'd be doing if you weren't using the Velcro.
I'm gonna keep the Velcros on.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So I asked the other guys, is anybody interested in going to get a drink? I would like to go get a drink.
I'll come with you. We might meet some interesting folk.
Yeah, we might meet some people that are going on the same ship.
That would be cool.
I could use a drink.
All right, so do you want to go somewhere here? Do you want to go closer to your ship first?
Should we go closer to where the ship is?
Yeah,
How long we got before we got aboard?
At this point, you've probably got about 2.5 hours. No,
Oh,
you got 2.5.
yeah.
You have 2.5 hours before the ship is supposed to leave, so you can probably start boarding within half hour. You could probably even get
Before.
on now if you wanted to,
Nah,
because I mean, a ship that size can probably take upwards of 1,000 passengers
oh, okay. So
or
people
more.
are meandering on throughout
Yeah,
the whole time.
yeah.
But I don't
I
want to
mean,
go on all that.
this thing is the size of a cruise ship on Earth.
I just figured we'd go
Cool.
someplace close just in case, the drinks are kind of strong. You don't have to carry me that far. Just in case. So, yeah, we're going to want to find someplace that serves drinks next to it. So maybe people that are going to be on our same ship will be there, also having a few drinks.
Okay.
Loose lips and all that.
All right. So you get in there and you order your drinks, and the it's not too busy. There's probably, you know, 6 or 7 other people in the establishment. Um, they look like they're just waiting for a ship like you guys. Um, and
Well, Face, if you want to talk to him, that's your. I'm gonna have a drink.
Yeah.
I'll buy the first round for us.
Sounds good to me.
I'm new, so I'll try it.
I
Alright,
better
so
stick close to him just to make sure he doesn't get into too much trouble being new at this.
all right, so
The young
um,
on the off planet. I'm like, wow.
so the chairs are designed. Um, they have like little footrests. They have little carpeted ones that you could like lock your Velcro into. They also just have like little bars you could like slip your feet under if you want to do that.
Okay.
Um, and they're definitely designed for people who are in zero gravity. There's even like a little seatbelt if you want one, that you can like kind of lay across your waist and keep yourself from floating away or suddenly making a sudden movement. It's definitely, you can tell that the seats are definitely designed for the low gravity and for people who are not familiar with it if they need the additional features. Um, so there's no worries there. And
Okay, cool.
you notice there's some video screens in the room, and you notice that one of them is looks like it's on like some sort of a news station, and it's talking about uh, something going on Prenglar, uh, and you know you have no idea. Something with the Council of Worlds and decisions being made, and then it cuts to some local news from Pale talking about local sports teams, and uh, then it flips over and talks about a recent incident on on Dixon Star around Lake Laco. There was some sort of a dust up between Pangalactic and Streel ships, and both sides lost a ship in the altercation, and speculation on wondering when Starlaw is going to step in or Space Fleet's going to step in. It's the third and fourth ships lost this year.
From Streel too?
Well, between the two companies.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know where it is. You'll have to go look
This
for it.
little friendly competition between companies is getting a little warm.
Yeah. We got a couple of ships going down. That's costly.
Plus the one you guys helped rescue.
Well, that's another story.
That's not even one of the ones they're mentioning.
It was definitely Pangalactic.
So
Figure out who's doing this. Who's shooting on our ships? It's unacceptable. Well, I'm still in my Streel uniform. Do I see anybody else in Streel or Pan-Galactic uniforms?
you actually see both, and you see some other corporate uniforms. One might be from your ship. A couple of them might be from your ship because they say trans travel on them. You see. Let's see. You see a couple Star Play, which you know is a company that does entertainment. They're like a movie company.
Cool.
And
Hey, are they looking for any, stand-ins or extras? Because I mean,
and then you see
You're
a number
definitely extra.
of people that have what look like station uniforms. And you see a few from the militia, from the Pale Militia, and because where you're at now, you've moved over. You're kind of closer to where the militia ships were docked. You're not all the way that far around, but
Well, we're getting there.
and you know there's a sizable contingent on the station that aren't like the ship crews or anything. The militia also is responsible for security on the station. So,
okay.
But yeah, there are a number of people in corporate uniforms of various corporations. And
Okay.
and you see that and you definitely notice a little bit of chill between the Streel and the Pan-Galactic people when they come in contact with each other.
Well, naturally, I mean, those Pan-Galactic types,
Nothing but troublemakers.
You got it.
Hey Shane, when did you show up? I just noticed you here. Can you hear us?
Just that.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I just
Hey,
happened to look
yeah.
right after you showed up.
Where do you come from?
Yeah, here we go.
Oh, and there's Angel just came back. Where did he go?
I'm
Oh,
still here.
that was your end. I didn't see Angel disappear.
Yeah, I'm still here.
So
I didn't go anywhere.
Did I get shot yet?
no, you had a shuttle ride to orbit. You're up on Pale Station. You're in the docking hub area. They elected not to go down into the station proper, but just head on over, make their way over to the ship. The ship's supposed to leave in about about an hour and a half at this point. So you guys stopped off to get a drink, and then
Or
you,
two.
yeah, or two, or whatever. You've been off world before, right, Shane? Because you were on New Pale, and then you came over to Pale.
Yes.
So this isn't your first trip to space. This is we established that it's Chicheka's first trip off planet. So he's been gawking like a tourist at everything.
Oh, by the way, I make a comment to him to something along the lines of, I always wondered how these big old ships were able to get off the ground with those little bitty engines.
They are.
They're not so itty bitty, depending on the ship.
Okay.
Have you
And
seen
that's
my
why
assault
some-
scout model?
I quote some slightly adjusted in statistics of space travel accidents and things.
If you have your video feed up, Exhibit A. This is an assault scout. This is 50 meters. This is like 15 meters tall. That engine's bigger than my house. Anyway, um, so we anything else you want to do before you head over to your ship? You actually hear an announcement come online in the PA system saying travel flight to Dixon Star will be leaving and will be shutting its doors in 90 minutes. All
Okay.
passenger and crew should be on board by then.
I think it might be a good idea to go ahead and get all my stuff stowed in the cabin or wherever I'm supposed to be, and
I
then
think that's a good
go
idea.
get familiar with what amenities are available on this here ship.
Okay.
How far away they are, and scope it out.
All right. So you head over to the ship, and there's a big trans travel area with around the dock, and you go up to the counter there, and they take your ID cards, and they scan them through, and they say, okay, yeah, and they find your name on the list. Uh, they give you each a cabin assignment, um, and it looks like you guys have a set of individual cabins. Um, they say you're on deck 18, and they give you your room numbers. Uh, go get your gear stored, and there'll be a pre-departure briefing in the main auditorium on deck 12 uh, in about 2 hours.
Okay.
So
Okay.
everybody should be there for that. And enjoy your trip.
Sure.
And then he waves you through the passageway. This one's significantly wider than the one you came off the little shuttle on. And you kind of wind your way out. It's also significantly longer. Um, and you walk out, and you get through the airlock onto the ship, and you step out into the ship proper after passing through what is the airlock, which is very large. The doors on the airlock are probably 3 meters wide, and just as tall, almost as tall. And then the room that you step in that is the airlock can probably hold, um, it's probably 3 meters by 4 meters. So, I mean, you could pack 20 or 30 people in there. Um, and then you go through and you come into basically a big open, almost plaza-like area. And there's some shops along the side and elevators across the way. Uh, Actually, the elevators are in a central column. No, not on the ship. They're off on the side. So they're on the far side from the airlock. So there's a big open area in the middle. And the deck here is actually pretty tall. It's like 4 or 5 meters tall. Uh, and there's a few other people milling around in the area. But for the most part, it's pretty empty at this point. You suspect most of the other people on board are already in their cabins or
In their cabins.
making their way to doing whatever. But looks like a big entrance deck, kind of like the entryway to a big hotel or something like that.
Is there any heading out parties kind of
Not here,
anywhere?
not in this area. No. I mean, there's some groups of people sitting around talking, but for the most part, it's pretty quiet.
See, when I went on a cruise, man, there was a party on every deck when we first left port.
I want to go see what our cabin.
What has to be stowed by law? This ship.
Sorry, what was that?
What has to be stowed? Do they make a
Any
store-
personal gear you have that you decided wasn't on the Explorer, because the Explorer's in the cargo bay.
Okay, but I mean, like, they're gonna make us stow our weapons. You know what I'm getting at?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they would have checked those, actually. The gate agent would have.
As long as they're not on the weapons locker on the bridge.
This is not a weapon. It's just a replica. It's a family heirloom.
And the
Actually,
alarms go off. You didn't think about that. Yeah, they would have taken all of your weapons. You had to pass through security.
Question: would they have taken my old Zamra?
Probably not,
Okay.
because it doesn't exactly look functional. If I remember your description of it correctly.
Well,
Neither exactly.
But no,
rusty Zamra is still gonna hurt.
yeah, but no, they wouldn't have taken that.
Okay.
But they do note that you have it with you.
Not that I'm paranoid.
So, you weren't here, Shane, for the description of the exterior description of the ship, but it's probably 250 to 300 meters long, 30 to 40 meters in diameter. It's a
Okay.
big ship. So,
All right.
alright, so you guys head to your cabins, and you find your way. It looks like the ship has about 50 decks on it total. And, well, no, it would have, yeah, 50. And some of them are not accessible with your. Basically, when you checked in, they keyed your they recorded your ID card data, and then that's your key to get around the ship. So, like you get in the elevator and swipe your card, and certain buttons light up that you guess that means you can go to those decks. If you try to push one that isn't light up, nothing happens. And if you push the one that is, it gets like more intense, like elevator buttons. But they get like a glowy ring around them when you swipe your card. Some of them do, some of them don't. The ones that don't, when you push on them, nothing happens. If you push on one that is illuminated, it lights up. So unless you go somewhere else first, I assume you go to the deck that has your cabin on it.
Yeah,
Might as well.
that seems like the wisest idea.
Yeah. So you get to that deck. Takes a minute or two to get there, and the doors open up from the elevator, and you step out. And if you didn't know better, because of the low gravity, you'd think you were in a hotel hallway.
Wow.
Okay. I don't see
And
any suspicious-looking Drellicites, right?
no, well, I mean, don't bolt hands with you, but
Yeah, but I'm used to his suspicious-looking and
Okay.
suspicious looks.
So you go down to your cabins, and you see that they're all next to each other. You've got 3 on one side of the hall and 3 on the other. And actually, I take that back. No, you're all in a line, because you got your cabins are all along the outer hull of the ship. So there's basically the hallways here kind of run in concentric rings. There's 2, an inner ring and an outer ring. You guys are on the outer ring, and on the outside of the outer ring. You get to your cabin, you swipe your door, it opens up. there's a small sitting room. There's a couch, a table, a chair. Then beyond that, there is you see two doors, and one of them goes into a bedroom with a small bed. The other one goes into a bathroom. And your cabins are all basically the same. Um, so uh, you've got about 24 square meters, which actually is a lot of space. That's 240 square feet. So it's like a very small studio apartment is what it looks like, except there's not really a kitchen area. There's a small like kitchenette that has a microwave and a hot plate that you can warm stuff up in if you wanted to, but they kind of expect you to eat primarily in the main dining areas. And then sitting on the table as you walk in is kind of like a book that describes the ship and shows you where, has maps of all the various decks and where everything is. Because
I'm gonna study that.
Yeah. So you start looking at that, and like I said, there's the most of the ship is made up of stateroom decks like what you're in now, these little cabins. But there are a couple decks of shops. There's 2 or 3 decks that are just dining of different types on the different levels, different types of food. There are race-specific dining places as well as ones that cater to just all races. So there are Rusk only restaurants as well as Dralicite only ones, and or at least primarily. You get the impression that if you were a non-Rusk and a Rusk one, they would have food you could eat there, but it really is catering towards Rusk specific cuisine. Yeah, Rusk specific cuisine. So, and and there's a little bit, itinerary. There's a short itinerary there as well, and you see that you have this departure meeting, and then you'll be getting underway, and then it's 4.5 days accelerating to jump, and then the jump, and then another 4.5 days to 5 days, depending on the exact orbital mechanics in the jump to get into docking at Laco. So.
So we're gonna be on this bad boy for at least 8 days.
Yeah, you're gonna be on this ship for at least 9. Yeah, it's a week. It's a week. Any travel between systems is at least 9. At least 9 days. So basically, you'll be living here on the ship for a week.
Any way of doing any research on Laco while we're traveling?
Probably. There's the computer systems on the ship with data and entertainment, and so yeah, you'll probably definitely be able to. But you get your stuff settled because you said at this point, by the time you get through the security check and you get on board, you've probably only got about an hour before you have to for that meeting starts.
The meeting.
And in fact, about 20 minutes before it starts, there's a knock on your cabin door, and you hear a knock and you say, "Departure meeting, 20 minutes." And then they move down, and you hear them repeating as it knocks down the stateroom. So some poor crew member has to go knock on all the doors to remind people to come down.
Just because we got to know how to board a life boat and all that stuff. I mean, gosh.
Hey, did anyone bring any of those cameras? Do we still have the cameras, Tom?
The security cameras? Like the remote ones?
Yeah.
I assume they're at least in the Explorer. I don't know if you wanted to have specifically brought them on board the ship, you could have.
I was just thinking about putting one up in the room to see if anyone comes in.
Okay. You can do that. Yeah, you could probably set that up once you get back from the meeting.
Okay, I was thinking about doing that before the meeting.
Well, I mean, you could probably set something that you could probably set it there. Well, get it out and unpacked and like observing the room. You may want to reposition it later, but yeah, you can definitely get something set up before you
Okay.
leave. Then, yeah, that's not a problem.
I'm thinking about asking one of the more technically anybody more technically skilled than me to do that. So,
I'm sorry, I could barely hear you. What was that?
if anyone is more technically skilled getting that camera up.
Oh, so that would probably be me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, check us off looking through the brochure on the
I'm
ship.
looking, studying about the map.
So
I want to find out
you
where the
can
floors are for everything.
you can have them. Yeah, you see, there's one deck that's like a pool, and there's so.
The other day I was thinking about how to do a pool in 0G.
Mhm.
And essentially, you just have this giant water tank with airlocks, and you just wear your scuba gear or whatever to swim in it. That would be
Yeah.
awesome.
Yep. And then you can also, if you want an open pool when you're under acceleration, you just have a cover
Yeah.
that seals over it when you're not, which is the current state of the pool. Otherwise, the water would be floating all over that room. Or you pump it out into tanks, but that takes up more space. So, all right. So you get your stuff situated in the cabin. Anything you want to do, Jill?
Probably not. Probably just relax. Probably curl up with a good book, I think. Maybe just...
It's definitely nicer accommodations than you had on your old ship.
Yeah, so
you
I
guys-
will...
You were in
Visit the
6 bunk
casino.
rooms and sleeping over the engine.
Yeah,
You should
probably... Go ahead.
You should go hit the casino, man. You got all that money.
That's why I have it. I don't...
She doesn't indulge in
Come
those kind
on.
of activities. All right. So you go to the meeting, and there's actually 2 main theaters. And your little note in your cabin said you go to the theater on deck, 37 or whatever deck it is. And they're just one above the other, but because they can't get everybody into one room, and it's pretty packed. There's probably a couple hundred people in there when you get there. And everybody takes seats, and a big screen pops up, and there's a human female there, and she introduces herself as the captain, and she goes, "This is welcome to Trans-Travel's ship, the Galaxy Tour, and we'll be headed from leaving. Actually, we'll probably be getting underway here shortly while we're talking, but we'll be leaving Pale, headed to Dixon Star, and then if you're staying with us, continuing on to Prenglar, we'll have about a 2-day layover in Dixon Star, and then continue on to Prenglar after that. But for this leg of the trip, you can expect it's about a 4.5-day acceleration out to void speed. We will give everybody about a 2-hour warning before it's time to make the jump, so everybody can get back to their cabins and get situated and strapped in. We'll be entering a period of 0 gravity like we are now around the void jump. If you know you have any issues with void travel, please let the crew know. We'll do what we can to accommodate you. And in the meantime, enjoy. Our outbound leg will be at about 0.95 Gs of acceleration, so a little stronger than Pale, but not by much. And when we get into Dixon Star, we will start decelerating at that rate, maybe even a little less. But as we get closer to the planet, we're going to be turning up the deceleration rate to about 1.3 gravities for the final day, just to kind of get you acclimated for those of you that are going down to the surface. It's not quite as strong as the surface gravity on Laco, which is 1.4 Gs, but it'll at least get you close there, get you a little bit used to that before we dock at the station. So, in the meantime, enjoy the amenities on board the ship, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask any of the staff. And they go over safety procedures and a little bit more of what to expect and some of the things going on the ship during the trip. But the meeting lasts about 30 minutes, and she's getting to the end. She goes, well, we're decoupled from the station. Give everybody about 15 minutes to, if you want to watch the departure, to get to an observation deck or your staterooms.
Oh, definitely.
And we'll be pulling out of the station's docking area in about 20 minutes. Enjoy your trip. And the video cuts off, and people start getting up and heading out.
How many people were in the room?
About 250.
So 250 is the passengers. Okay.
No, that's probably half of them.
Okay.
So this is a really big. So I was telling them, think basically cruise ship size vessel.
Okay.
So this is a
Still a lot of people going to Laco.
well, a lot of them may be going to Prenglar because the ship is continuing on.
That's true.
So.
Did we notice anybody watching us, looking at us, or trying to?
No, you managed to
Go
dodge the mercenaries on the planet before you left.
Gotcha.
You weren't here for that.
Yeah,
but,
that was kind of a close call.
Angel saw him, but he managed to spot him before they saw him and duck off on a side road.
I'm just wondering if anyone's looking at us now, or anyone looks suspicious.
Not specifically.
Okay.
Just a mass of frontier citizens of all races. So. All right. So, Checheka wants to go to. I assume you want to go to an observation deck.
Oh yes.
Okay. So, you go to there's a couple decks. You have a couple choices. There is a observation dome at the both fore and aft of the ship, one looking forward, one looking back. And then there is also another deck, kind of amidships, a little bit forward of amidships, that is basically floor to ceiling portholes, just giant. If we were in Star Trek, I'd say transparent aluminum. But basically portholes, just giant plexiglass or whatever they use for hull strength clear material on the ships, and so you have just basically a 360-degree view out of the ship.
I think I want to go to the aft dome.
Okay.
Check the engines and their power.
All right. So you get down to the aft. Is anybody going to go with him?
Yeah, I'll head with him.
I better keep an eye on him.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I might as well go too.
All right. So we'll assume all of you head down there, and you get down there, and it's moderately crowded, but it is kind of back, and the ship has. Let me check really quick. I don't remember off the top of my head how many engines it has. It has 3. No, yes. Yeah, 3. It has 3 engines, so they're, spaced 120 degrees apart around the ship, and they're off. The ship's about 45 meters in diameter, and they're another 20 or 30 meters beyond the ship out there. And from the aft observation deck, you're in line with not quite the back end of the engine. It extends a little bit further beyond where you're at, but not too far. And you can see the engine plumes. Well, not too much right now because you're not moving, but you can definitely see when you're underway under full power. You would definitely be able to see those engine plumes going.
Okay, yeah.
And at this point, the ship has moved out, and it's like right on the center line of the docking area, and you are no longer rotating with the station. You can see the station rotating around you.
The station rotating. Okay.
Yeah, so you can see the station rotating. What was that?
Do we see Pale in the background?
No, it's obscured by the walls because the orbit is perpendicular. So you will, as soon as you get out of the bay, you'll see it. You can kind of see the hints of it out the bay doors, but this central hub is like 1 kilometer long. It's like 3 or 4 times the length of your ship, and you're just kind of in the middle of it somewhere. And you hear the captain call, and we're underway, and you see the engines just kick on, just a trickle, and in the aft bay, it's the floor that's clear, and then you have windows around you, so you're like standing on the plexiglass. There's like a grid above it, so you're not actually standing on the hull, but you can look down and see out of the ship, and you feel a little bit of thrust kick in, so you go from being completely weightless to a little bit of pressure, and you see everybody kind of drift down to that flooring there, and the sides of the ship start to slip, of the station start to slip away. You can tell you're not moving a lot. You're maybe accelerating in like 1/10 of a gravity. But as you get out and clear the station, Pale is just there, looming over the southern half, the one side of the observation deck, and you can see the planet as you come clear. And you continue at that relatively slow acceleration for a couple of minutes until
Before we leave,
Uh-huh.
let me know how much it'll cost. But I want to buy everybody a drink to say goodbye to Pale.
Okay.
My first time leaving the planet.
All right. So we'll say 10 credits.
Done.
And the captain, after a couple minutes, now the station has drifted back. You're probably several kilometers away from the station at that point. The captain comes on the PA system. He says, "All right," she says, "we'll be beginning our full acceleration here. We'll slowly ramp up over the next 5 minutes, but prepare for gravity." And you feel the acceleration start. You see the engines start to glow more as more and more power. As the engines start to kick in, and until there's this plume of blue light streaming out the back of the engines that stretch back for probably 100 meters behind the engines. And it's diffused. It's not super bright, but there's definitely a blue glow in the room from the engines. And you feel gravity return, and you're a little heavier than you were on the planet, but it's not bad at all. And then after about 10 minutes of that, the captain comes on and says, "Cruising speed achieved." And there's a cheer go up, and people start drifting off from the deck, the passengers.
Okay. Well, that was cool. Oh, I forgot to take pictures. Damn
Next time.
it.
He's been taking pictures of everything else.
Buy a
Frick,
postcard. They
I
always look
forgot.
better.
Oh,
All right, so you are underway.
yep. So pale, go away. So pale.
Yeah, it'll take a while. I mean, the planet will be hanging there for
Yeah, but I'm not gonna stay here the whole
yeah,
time.
it'll probably be a half hour to an hour before it's shrunk to insignificance, or small enough that it's not that interesting anymore.
It's that little dot. Nah, that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, that's tomorrow before it becomes the little dot.
So, what do you guys want to do next?
Uh,
Eat something.
no, I need to go to the library and see if anybody needs any tutoring.
I'm gonna check the cameras. I just
Alright.
don't trust anybody.
You know the doors have locks, son.
Yeah, and I know you've picked them before.
Yeah, it's sort of true.
Yeah.
All right, so you go back and check your cameras, and there's nothing there. I mean, you've only been gone maybe an hour and a half, so but there's nothing there. Your rooms are undisturbed as far as you can tell.
Yeah, all right.
So, I see him checking out his camera. I was like, do you want to like put that someplace like in a there so that way it's not like right there?
Put it
Shouldn't
in
leave
an
it
air
on the
vent or
bed.
something? I don't know.
Well, there's like a entertainment screens, right? A TV.
Yep. Yep.
You could put it behind the TV so that way it's pointing towards the room. If they're anything like the cabins in a cruise ship, then if you put it behind the TV at a angle bending down, you'll get the entire freaking room.
It sounds like you've done this before.
I've been in a couple of cruises. I got paranoid.
Okay.
All right, go ahead and make a tech roll there, Angel.
Oh, okay. Work for me.
That's good enough.
Ooh.
Nah, that's good enough.
Okay.
You're just trying to secure it so it doesn't.
Oh yeah.
You're not
No.
trying to like totally make it completely hidden and hard to detect. I assume you're just trying to set it up there so it doesn't jiggle around and is
So it has
inconspicuous, but not well hidden.
Right.
So yeah, you're able to attach it, secure it to the wall or whatever, so that it's there pointing where he wants it. So it's not a
There you
problem.
go. Now, who brought up food? Because I like that idea.
That was
See
Rennie.
what they killed and packed up in the freezer.
Yeah, no. I was thinking more about checking out one of those Rusk delicatessens.
Yeah, I'm sure they've. I guess we are actually gonna go get some grub.
All right.
I caught that. That was funny.
Yeah.
All right. So you two are gonna go get food. John, what are you gonna do? What's Checker gonna do?
I'm not sure what
Takara,
I'm gonna do.
sorry.
Takara, yeah. Well, seriously, I would like to learn about our destination.
Okay.
So I'd like to head to the library or whatever, computer terminal.
Right.
And, while I'm there, it wouldn't hurt to, see if there are any interesting people there, need any technical assistance or anything.
Okay. How about what's Jill gonna do? Curl up with that book?
Yeah, well, probably go out, maybe Eating sounds good. I might do that.
All
Hang
right.
out with the others.
All right. So, Rennie, are you gonna head to a Yazirian-focused dining area, or are you gonna tag along to the Rusk one with Chicheka?
I'm gonna head to the Brusque one with Cheka. I've eaten Azarian food before.
Okay. Uh, so then, does Jill want to go with them there, or does she want to go somewhere more geared towards the human palate?
Yeah. Why not?
Okay.
I'm sure they have something that a human can
Oh
eat.
yeah, they do. Um, and all right, so uh, Chikara's gonna go to the library reading room type area on the ship, and the rest of you head off for food. Um, is there anything specific you're looking for, John, or just general information on the planet?
Well, I'm interested in, you know, what a little bit about the culture of the planet, a little bit about local creatures, maybe, uh, perhaps something about the geopolitical
Okay,
setup of it.
all right. So let's go ahead and do a little bit of that first. So you know that the population on Laco is actually fairly small. Um, uh, the majority of the people that live on the planet are either refugees from Pale from the war, or their descendants, their children. It's only been 40 years, so a generation and a half really is all. So the population is pretty small. It's but it is growing. There's starting to be an influx, or at least there was starting to be an influx of people to the planet in recent years. Although because of the altercations between Streel and Pangalactic, that's kind of slowed down in the last 4 or 5 years. Um, but we'll get to that. The planet itself rotates actually even slower than Pale, so the days are even a little longer. It's a 60-day rotation period, 60-hour rotation period compared to Pale's 55. So they
So
have
how did they do the sleep
they
cycle
they
there?
they do it very similar to Pale. They basically have in that case they've just divided it up into 3 standard days of 20 hours each, and you have a day and night and a day that's light, and then a day and a night that's dark. Um,
Okay.
so, uh, uh, so that's how they do that. Um, the planet is fairly arid. There are temperate um, areas, but a lot of the planet would be considered desert. Um, it's not necessarily all night, morning, siesta, evening. There you go. um, and the um, in fact, the main city, the capital, what's now the capital, is called Tyrell's Landing, and it's actually in the nicer, temperate part of the planet. Um, and it's a new city. Basically, it is where the people, the refugees from Pale during the war landed. It's been named after uh, Edmund Tyrell, who was the captain of one of the ships that managed to escape Pale when the Sathar attacked. And he kind of organized and held together the refugees and got them situated and everything. And so that's kind of where his ship put down, and the others came down with him. Um, and that's kind of where that city started. And it has grown to be the largest uh, population center on the planet. It's nowhere near as big as Point True, um, but uh, probably has 100,000 people there. And the other thing, and the other thing about the planet, the other noteworthy bit about the planet, and the cause of what's being called a corporate war now between Streel and Pangalactic is the discovery of alien ruins on the planet. And they knew about, I mean, they've been known for a long time. That was why the planet itself is not the most resource-rich or hospitable planet in the system. It's got a high gravity, low water. It's definitely not good for growing crops. There is some mineral content that has begun to be exploited and some industrial type stuff. The planet, that's what's been driving the growth of the planet's population in the last decade or so. But the for the most part, it's pretty much of an outpost world. There's not a big population center there, but they have discovered these alien ruins, and that's actually what drew people there in the first place, were scientific expeditions to the planet to try to study these structures and things that they've discovered. And as
do they look sapphire?
No, they don't look sapphire. Nobody knows what they are.
Okay.
And as explorations have continued, they've started to discover more complexes, more sites, and both Streel and Pangalactic are, want control of the areas. And so there's been fighting. There's been, as you saw on the news as you were leaving Pale, there's been starship battles. And that seems to have been escalating over the last year. It was kind of low level before that, vying for contracts and things like that. The actual fighting has only kind of really broken out recently. And so there's that kind of polarizing corporate political situation in the system.
Okay.
And surface gravity on the planet is 1.4 Gs, like I mentioned before, so it's very heavy. Another reason the population hasn't grown that much. It's one of the heaviest, highest gravity planets in the frontier that's inhabited. So, not the most popular destination.
This is gonna suck for
Yeah.
the experience.
So,
Well, just think of just walking around will be a workout. Great.
Yeah, we're gonna
Get
be
all
tripping
toned
over.
and buff.
Yeah. Get these muscles even stronger so the ladies will love them.
My shell is burned.
All right.
all right. So dinner.
Yes.
So you head to the one of the Rusk themed dining areas, and they you're met at the door by a host, and he says three of you. He says,
Yes.
all right, just a moment, we'll get you a table. And so this looks like a fairly, it's not like super fancy, but it's a dine-in type sit-down restaurant. It's not like go up to the counter and order. It's they'll bring you out a menu and let you pick what you want. And, as he's seating you, he asks Rennie and Jill if they want the full menu or just the race-specific menu. In your case, Yazirian or human-specific menus.
Yeah, I don't want to order something that I can't digest.
I'm gonna order the Bresk food. Talk
All right, so he brings out 2 full menus and then the human menu, the human
What?
entree
The,
menu
the,
for you.
yeah, is that like Rusk food that humans can eat?
Yes, yes,
Yeah, okay,
basically.
yeah, then that's fine. Yeah.
It's basically anything on their menu that your digestive system can handle.
Okay. Awesome.
Your palate may not like some of it, but your digestive system can definitely deal with it. So, and they take your orders, and the food's included in the cost of your trip, so you don't have to pay anything.
We got an all-inclusive.
And that's just how slimy yet satisfying. There you go. High protein. Yeah, so the Rusk meals. I mean, there's definitely meats involved in some of the dishes. Maybe insectoid type stuff.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of this stuff online. I want to have a snail steak.
All right, there you go. They bring out a Kistakar water snail, and this thing is like 20 inches long and about 5 inches wide and probably 2 inches thick. It's got the shell on it still. You get to crack it open. They bring a mallet. You get a mallet, and
Wait, they take away our weapons and then they give them out?
come on, have you ever been to Crab Shack?
You
Yeah.
guys like your lobster. I'm taking this.
And so, all right. And then there's, I mean, on the menu, if you want just more traditional foods from your whatever your species is, they have that too. But you can go for some of the more exotic stuff, and they have a variety of interesting dishes, and they bring them out, and whatever you order, they'll bring out for you, and drinks to go with it, and everything you need. So
yeah, I'm enjoying this.
all right, so you have a enjoyable dinner. It's probably actually about dinner time by the time all this goes down. So, I mean, you're not the only ones in the restaurant. A lot of the tables are full, and people are coming and going.
Now, how many other daring people are coming in? I know it's going to be mostly Rusk, but
Yeah, it's mostly Rusk.
do you see some people come in and be like, "Oh no"?
Yeah, you see some people trying it and they decide that wasn't the best choice for them, and other people seem to be enjoying it. Like Rennie just tucks into whatever he gets. Yeah, carrying on a conversation, discussing the finer points of the flavor.
I'm the kind of guy that orders gas station sushi.
Yeah, so he eats anything. But for the most part, yeah, it's probably 90 to 95% Rusk in the room. So besides Rennie and Jill, there's probably only 4 or 5, if that many, other people. It's probably not even that big, so it's probably more like 80% Rusk. There's probably 4 or 5 other people that are not Rusk in the room, and they all are with someone who is of Rusk. Yeah, there's no groups that are completely non-Rusk that come into the restaurant. So,
now are the Rusk sort of like me that? Well, yeah, they're all corporate. Which ones are wearing their corporate logos on some of the?
A lot of them are. Some of them.
Pan-galactic.
There are some Pan-galactic. There are a few Streel. You see trade houses that you think are from that operate primarily on Prenglar, or some from Pale. There's even a couple that are all the way there. The houses are headquartered on Kistakar, and on Fromeltar. on Terraldrum. So there's actually a wide variety of people from all over the frontier on this ship.
Cool. All right.
In fact, while you're in there, you're probably the only one in a Streel outfit.
I'm
Assuming
the
you're
only one that's true.
in the little restaurant. Assuming you're still wearing it.
Yeah, I still am. So are the Pangalactic guys eyeball?
Yeah, a little bit, but for the most part, not really. Um,
All right. So they just basically take notice of the.
yeah, they notice that you're there, but they don't like do anything overt.
Well, that's right. I got me and my posse with. Try it. Well, I'm gonna eat. Do you guys? What do you guys want to do afterwards?
Uh,
Because I just want to basically explore the ship. I don't.
yeah, you know what? I've got nothing else better to do. Let's explore the ship.
Okay. So you start moving around the ship, and there are in the main elevators. There are, like I said, there are a few floors that like don't ever light up, like they're accessible. There are also are some that just aren't even listed, like the elevator doesn't even go there. Um,
Hmm.
so uh, and most noticeably, they're the very lowest numbers, like decks 2 through 7 aren't there at all, and then the deck 50, 51, and 52, and 53. You suspect there are those decks, but they're not listed either because the aft observation deck was deck 54. Um, so those ones don't like on the main public elevators that are off these main areas you've been on. They don't even seem to go to those decks. Um, and you suspect that's just the ship operations and possibly crew quarters. Although some of the ones that don't light up may be crew quarters because they don't activate to your card, but they're accessible from the main areas. Um,
Okay.
and so you suspect that those decks are like the bridge and engineering and maintenance and life support and just the behind the scenes stuff of operating the ship.
Cargo.
The crew, yeah, cargo. Um, that the crew
All that
probably,
food.
yeah,
Break.
that the crew doesn't, uh, the passengers don't need access to. They're the
Right.
crew areas of the ship. Um, Beyond that, you find, like I said, there's a couple decks that are just large theaters. Where there's a stage and they probably do entertainment shows, and there's probably in your little book in your cabin a list of all the events going on, or they show movies or broadcasts or whatever. There's a deck that's just shopping for anything you might want en route. You notice there's a PGC shop and a Streel shop, and then Trans Travel has a shop, and then there's some other smaller uh, stores that you recognize the names because you've seen them on Pale, and you suspect that they have places on other planets, so they're known throughout the frontier. Um, Wartech is noticeably missing. Um, the Then there's a deck that has some like dance halls, lounges type entertainment. There's a whole kids deck um, that has uh, activities and entertainment geared towards uh, the younger members of all the different species. There's a giant jungle gym in one of the rooms. and things like that. There's a pool deck that has it's actually subdivided into three. The deck is divided into three segments, um, and has some different types of pools in those areas. Uh,
No, I'm not swimming.
yeah, you notice there aren't too many rusks or dralicites or even Yazarians in those decks. Mostly humans. Seems to be a human thing. Um, uh, Although there is this one Dralicite you see that keeps climbing up onto top of the high dive and just cannonballing into the one pool. You see him do it like 3 times as you're checking it out. Um, and then you notice this no. Just kidding.
Liberty
The
cannonball.
yeah. The what else? Let's see. A lot of the decks are just stateroom decks like yours. And those 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 have about a 2.5 meter ceiling, maybe a 3 meter ceiling. Some of the other decks are even taller, um, eh, but for the most part, the average deck height is somewhere between 2.5 or 3 meters, so that your Uzarians can walk around without any issues. Um, and it's amazingly tall for all the other races. But you can definitely tell they were designed to accommodate anybody that could be uh, in there. Now, in some of the other race specific, like the restaurant you were in, the hallway deck was the 3 meter tall deck. But when you got into I forgot to tell you this earlier. When you got into the restaurant itself, Rennie had to duck a little bit because it was a lower ceiling, because it was designed and decorated for the lower stature of Rusks. Um, so, and you see that throughout the ship. You see most of the areas are designed that any of the races could use them, but some areas are more specifically themed and decorated and have furniture specific to the nature of the race that they're focused on. What else is there? There's
That's
the
cool.
observation
So the
decks.
restaurants are like a moss roof, so that way our antennas could caress them.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool.
There's stuff that caters. I mean, you realize a trip in the frontier is a week long. If you're only going one planet, if you're going multiple planets, it could be weeks or a month or more if you're going all the way across the frontier. And so, um, it's not like you're packed in sardines like you are on air travel here on. You know, it's living space because you're literally living there for a week. It's a small apartment, and there are larger cabins. As you look through your book, you see it shows you all the different deck plans and all the different cabin layouts, and there's some that are like more family oriented, and there's suites on some of the decks and things like that are bigger. You guys have just a basic journey class cabin. Single occupancy cabin.
Next time we hold out for better.
Well, you're welcome to pay the upgrade yourself.
I like how you're saying that it's not like we travel here. It can take up to a week. But I've flown Frontier Airline. I know it can take about a week to get to where you're going.
I have to admit, I've never traveled on Frontier.
I did it once.
Isn't that the one that you don't actually have a seat assignment and it's just
That's
first come,
Southwest
first
you're
serve
thinking
and-
of.
Oh, that's Southwest. Okay.
Yeah.
Now that was the one where I tried to get home for Christmas to see my family, and wound up having to go to a party that the pilot and the stewardess are putting on because they felt bad because I was already over 48 hours late.
Oh my
Oh
gosh.
my god.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
So
That's worse than my United stories.
I didn't get beaten, so that was nice.
I guess there's a small bonus there.
48 hours or, lose a tooth. Well, I'll go with the 48 hours.
Wow.
Actually, the reason our plane was delayed was the de-icer slid on the ice and hit our plane.
Oh no.
Oh shit.
I would hate to be the driver of that truck that day. Oh my gosh.
gosh.
So yeah, it was.
Bad day on the job.
Yep. Guy. Anyway, sorry about that.
Well, I was coming back from a meeting. It was Valentine's Day, so of course they schedule all of our meetings over Valentine's Day, right? So I'm flying home. We take off from California. This is back when I still lived in Baltimore. And we take off from California, and we get up in the air, and the captain comes on and says, we're going to have to land in Reno. Because I guess one of the two air conditioning units on the plane just blew out.
Oh jeez.
Half hour into the flight, so they couldn't keep the cabin cool, or at least they, because we were supposed to fly to Minneapolis. That was the flight. So we land in Reno, but the problem is, I was thinking I was on Delta, and Reno only gets 2 Delta flights a day, one in the morning and one in the evening. And so there was no Delta staff at the airport. So we had to sit. Remember, this is a plane missing an air conditioner in Reno.
Oh,
on the tarmac for 2 hours.
It would have been better to fly.
I know, we could have been in Minneapolis. Until they could get crew, they could get Delta gate agents there to get us off the plane. Get another plane there, fly us to Minneapolis. Of course, by that point, everybody's missed their connections. So I did not get home for Valentine's Day that year.
Oh my god, just hot and annoying.
So they had put us up in a hotel, and then we flew out the next morning. But yeah, it was snowing in Minneapolis, so we went from the desert. Of course, February isn't too bad in Reno, but still, to the desert to a blizzard, all in one day. Yeah, that was a fun flight. Anyways, travel horror stories never happens in the frontier.
Thank you.
Never, I'm sure. I think we just cursed our flight, guys.
I just realized I do have to roll.
Oh, jeez. No, yeah, I already rolled for you, remember?
Oh, please.
Okay, now I know what's going to happen on your trip. Or at least anything unplanned that's going to happen on your trip. Anyways, so
Well, after we walk around, I'm gonna go back to. I'm gonna read the itinerary, see when their shows are.
okay, there's basically stuff going on all the time, around the clock. It's just a matter of what you're interested in, and so back to John a little bit. You don't find anybody looking for technical assistance. In fact, you're about the only one there in that part of the ship, right at this point in the journey. But
Really?
yeah, for the most part, everybody's doing what the rest of your group is doing, getting poking around the ship and seeing what it is, and you find out that this ship is less than a year old. So it was built in Prenglar. It did the big loop around the frontier up to Cassadine and Fromeltar and around to White Light and then back through Timian, and then it's come out here it went down to Theseus, and now it's come out here to Pale, and then it's going to, after it gets to Prenglar, it's going to do the Hence, Garnagaru, Arthor, Skrifron loop, and then it'll have visited all of the systems in the frontier. So it's kind of like on its grand tour maiden voyage. Um,
Okay.
so
So they got any special patches we can buy? Hey, I was part
actually
of the...
they do. down in the Trans Travel store, they've got a uh, they've got several actually. They've got one that's just the ship logo. I flew on the, or they've also got the, my parents went on this and all I got was this T-shirt.
Yeah.
And they have several patches. They have one. They have just the Trans Travel patch. They have one that's the ship's kind of personal logo. They have a maiden tour patch, and then they have a first visit to Pale patch. And the guy there says this one's only available till we make the jump, and then it goes away. So
now,
get it while you can.
I'll get the I was attacked by pirates shirt.
No, that one says I went all the way to Pale and pirates never came once, or something like that. With a big frowny face. So, anyway, yeah, they have all kinds of that kind of souvenir type stuff that you can find on board the ship if you really want to. So I'm gonna have to make those patches now. That would be pretty funny. And you're also still looking at stuff on Laco. So another thing, it's very how was I gonna describe the culture? There's not really a planetary culture so much. I guess the defining trait is self-reliance and helping out and assistance, helping out others, because a lot of the people there were refugees from the war, and that kind of self-reliance, making do with what you've got, surviving in the harsh environment ethos has stuck with the population. So it's very much a do-it-yourself, help out your neighbor kind of culture. That's kind of the defining thing you get looking at like news articles and stuff about the planet.
Okay.
So that's a bit more that you pick up there. There's the main settlement. There's the original scientific outpost that is actually quite a ways away from the main city now, because that was where the ruins were. There are now some other scientific outposts scattered around the planet, and the population has started to spread out from that main town, but the majority of the population is actually in that more temperate area. But all the interesting things are out in the deserts. So.
Okay. When it comes to interesting things, what kind of interesting creatures are out here?
There's a lot of reptilian type creatures that like the warmer climate. Laco, I mean, there's nothing really specific. The indigenous life is actually fairly simple. There's not a lot of the higher life forms, and not a lot of large creatures on the planet.
Good.
Mostly smaller stuff.
So it really is quite the dud of a planet.
Yeah, it is actually pretty. If it wasn't for it was the closest place when the South are attacked, and the fact that there are these interesting ruins, you suspect the population could be measured in the thousands instead of the hundreds of thousands on the planet.
Okay.
There's probably as many people. No, not quite that many. But there's a definitely a more significant space-based to planet-based population ratio in Laco than any other system in the frontier, because there are some stations orbiting the planet. There are people. There are ships that work the uh, lifeless planets and any asteroids and that those types of objects in the system. But the planet itself is actually uh, pretty bland
Wow.
and not that hospitable.
Did anybody think to pack a deck of cards? Doesn't sound like there's a lot of partying going on down here.
I think we should.
The Delaware of the frontier. Okay. It's getting towards evening, so unless you want to do anything specific in the evening, we can roll to the next day.
Yeah, I'll just grab a quick bite on my way to the cabin.
Yeah, I get something too. And I do sort of want to buy a souvenir though.
Yeah.
For my brother.
Yeah, I might as well buy one of those two of those maiden voyage patches to send to the girls. Seeing as how I didn't actually come and say goodbye before heading off.
So I'm definitely gonna get a maiden patch.
Okay.
And I don't know.
How much are we out per patch?
Whoa, a credit.
Huh?
A credit.
A credit?
Yeah.
I guess I should have asked how many patches per credit.
One.
Alright, I'll just buy 2 patches.
I'll buy one. And do they have postcards of like space and
Yeah,
planet?
you could probably get those.
Okay,
little
I get a pack
little
of those.
hollow prints. Yeah.
Yeah. I get those too. How much is that?
Probably. I don't know. They're probably 3 to the credit.
Okay, cool.
So.
I'll take 6.
Yeah.
Okay, so far, 23. 10, that's 33. 34, 35, 36. Okay, good. After that, yeah, I check out what night shows they're gonna have.
Yeah. There's.
Go check that out.
All right. So you can spend the evening enjoying the entertainment. Nothing particular happens. It's actually fairly quiet. I mean, as quiet as you have when you got 500 people in in a tin can. But people are moving around. You don't notice anything untoward. You don't ever notice anybody like following you around the deck or the decks or anything. Rennie's cameras don't ever pick up. At one point, some crew come in and just make sure everything's nice and straightened up. Turn down the bed sheets and that while you're out. So you come back to that done in all of your rooms. Little
Do they leave little mints?
yeah,
on
I can
the
say a
floor?
little
They make
cookie
a
or a
panel out of
mint
the
or something
towels.
on your bed, on your pillow.
And they fold the washcloth into some fancy.
Well, that was already done. They won't do that.
Oh, okay.
They won't do that till the morning when they come through and clean. But that's not part of the night turn down service. But
Okay.
the so you come back from your evening's entertainment and your cabin's all ready and your bed's been turned down or the divan for the Vrosk or whatever, whatever's culturally appropriate. um, uh, and yeah, so unless you're gonna skulk around at night, y'all get a good night's sleep. Wake up in the morning. If you want to skulk around, we can do that too.
Nah,
Well, that's tomorrow night. I mean, the first night they're going to be trying to spot the ones that they want to watch. So we just kind of settle in and look boring. Then we can do our skulking.
I'll skulk out of the Streel. That'll be tomorrow.
Okay.
So yeah, that's basically going to be the first date.
All right. So that's the first day. The next day, is there anything at this point? Is there anything particular you want to be doing, or any information you want to try to gather while you're on the ship? And we'll move through the days pretty quickly.
Well, okay. Go ahead.
I was thinking it'd be kind of interesting if I to just try to poke around for any like manual service shaft, basically the equivalent of the stairs in case of emergencies.
Oh, you can find them. There's actually a stairwell that runs right along the main elevators. And then when you're on the upper decks, and the lower decks, there are additional elevators that aren't on a lot of the main decks that your key just doesn't activate.
Okay, that explains those floors. And I'm betting once I'm on those stairs, the doors to those levels I can't seem to get through either.
Yeah, in fact, the stairs don't even go to those levels. The only way to get to the end decks, the observation decks, is via the elevator. The stairwells actually end at the last deck that's listed in the buttons. So like those, at least those stairwells that are along the main elevators, they don't even go that far. They stop. They only run along the publicly accessible decks.
There's got to be a way to get to where our other cargo is stored.
Yeah. I was trying to think about that. I was hoping to check.
But I don't want to look too suspicious, but kind of just to see if I can possibly find a way to check on our explorer and stuff.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm typing something in the machine. He asked me a question in the chat window. So actually, I'll just say it. You could send out a message. That wouldn't be a problem. I'll figure out where he's at for next time.
Okay, because I'm thinking if we get to Laco, maybe I could just see if I can get some information from him.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a contact. That'd be cool.
Yeah. So, that's one of the things you find. There's like a radio room in the public decks where you can go and send subspace messages if it's out of the system, or just video messages here in the system if you want.
Now our mission, where were we supposed to land on?
You're headed to Tyrell's Landing. You're headed to the main capital to start. And you're supposed to check in with the Streel office there. And they said they'll have more information for you. They're still running down the numbers and things like that, the information you provided them. So they'll provide you more information once you get to the planet.
All right, so I'm gonna read up on the city where we're going.
Okay. So I'd say it's a moderate sized town. Its population is probably approaching 100,000 at this point. A lot of manufacturing, a lot of off-world importing because Laco doesn't produce a lot of stuff itself. Although that's starting to change. There is manufacturing starting to come online on the planet, and they've also started to find um, mineral resources that will make it, I guess, more profitable for other organizations to set up shop on the planet. Um, Pangalactic has just opened a fairly large manufacturing plant there, just outside the city. Uh, Streel was in the process of doing that, but that seems to have been gone on hold. And Streel seems to, at some level, is starting to pull back its presence on Laco. Um, but the or at least overtly is. You have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. But so that's kind of one of the big things. PGC and Streel are probably the primary employers, employing between the two of them the majority of the people on the planet. And both of them have uh, fairly large research groups on the planet. Somewhat headquartered there in Tyrell's Landing, but mostly spread out across various dig sites and excavation sites and places around the planet.
Due to the ruins that they
yeah, and most of the altercations have come at those sites, not in the city, not where the population centers are. It's out where the ruins and the things that they're examining and researching is where those things tend to be happening. So the city is, I mean, there's kind of two populations in the city. It's there's the original settlers, those people, the refugees from Pale that didn't go back, that decided to stay for one reason or another, and their families, and they do a lot of what agriculture there is on the planet. They also run some of the older establishments on the planet, and then there's another kind of wave of people emigrated after the war, to either be part of or support the scientific explorations or the mining explorations. And so there's a lot of support type industry there to support the stuff going on away from the city. So people will go out and then they'll come back and spend time in the city to be back in civilization, and then go back out to the field. And it's that kind of stuff.
Now, what is our job again once we get? Oh yeah, we don't know yet. We gotta. Never mind.
Yeah,
will tell us.
you have the name or the Chronicom number of someone that she had been contacting. That lady had been contacting on Laco, and that's one of the things they're trying to run down for you, is who that is, and that.
To find out who
Yeah.
the one might be shooting
And then they're probably going to send you out to some of the Streel sites that have had issues, to kind of look over what's been going on and what's been happening out there.
Okay.
shooting ships. And it's a good punch that what was it? The artifact that was probably came from Laco, right?
Oh yeah, the stuff in that little ship that you guys rescued definitely came from Laco. Nobody was denying that. The crew even told you that's where they had just come from.
Right. So that's what we gotta find. Or who?
So I'm curious. So I guess the legally these kind of artifacts aren't actually protected or something, or
Not really. Remember, the
Okay,
UPF
well,
only is it's the
that's right.
planetary governments are the planetary governments. So if the government of Laco wants to do something about it, there really isn't a government of Laco. Um, so I mean, they have one, but they have representation on the council. Starfleet only maintains the space lanes. Once you hit the planetary atmosphere, it's local law enforcement, with the exception of anything
Right.
to do with the Sathar, and you've got Star Law. But even then, on Laco, there might be like 2 Star Law agents for the whole planet,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
unless some big Sathar thing shows up, and then they might send people there from off world. So that's the other thing. I mean, it's definitely a if there's a frontier in the frontier, it's on Laco. I mean, there still is on most of the worlds, but Laco is definitely the most frontier-like planet of all of the systems. Very rough and ready, and
Okay. So are there any is there anybody on this ship that we run into that is like they live on Laco and they're on their way back home?
if you start asking around, you probably would find some people. Yeah, there definitely are people on board that would match that, or at least they've been there a long time. They may not be natives, but they've lived or worked there for a long time, and they were just off world for something, and are headed back.
Okay. All right. So I'm thinking it might be good to ask them if there are any neat things to see or things to avoid when we're there.
Well, you should definitely go see the pyramids.
Okay.
That's the original thing that they discovered that started the people being interested in Laco, and these giant transparent pyramids out in the desert.
Do they have big circular things that can turn with the funny symbols on them?
No. No, they're just giant glass pyramids. That's what's so weird about them.
Okay.
No, they've been studying those things for 40 or 50 years. Nobody knows what they still haven't figured out what they're for. They just seem to be these giant glass pyramids out in the middle of the desert. But they're definitely cool looking, especially when the sun hits them just right. So,
Okay. Cool.
so
Places to avoid?
the Sarlacc pit.
Check. Got it.
No. Well, don't. If you're going to be going out away from town, make sure your vehicle's in good condition, and you've got food and water, and just off-roading. There's not a lot of local fauna, but still, just the landscape is often pretty rugged, and you never know what you're going to run into. So, but if you like exploring and heading out into untamed wilderness, there's definitely a lot of that around. You can go days and days without running into anyone else or any other civilization.
Okay. Where's the best place to go caving?
Well,
I
around.
know we're not gonna get a chance.
So they give you some places. They can say, yeah, well, mostly around Tyrell's Landing. These are where you want to go. If you can catch a ride to other parts of the planet, I've heard, and they give you some other places that are pretty nice.
Okay, cool.
In talking to the passengers, has anybody heard of a theft of any artifacts?
No.
Okay.
Nobody
Just
on this
checking.
ship has. At least anybody that you've talked to, that you managed to talk to at this point. Um, yeah, I'd say no for the entire trip. You probably don't. As far as you know, nobody mentions anything like that. All right. Any other things you want to try to do?
Nothing I can think of.
Nothing in specific that I can think of.
Okay. Third day the
But-
pirates
but
attack.
are you guys all sure you don't want to, kind of spot me a few hundred credits, so I'll hit the casino, and I'm sure I could win you double.
No.
No.
I mean, I'll give you all the winnings.
Still no. Do they have an art show?
Yes, they
I'm gonna
do.
check out the art show.
Okay. Um, there's a variety of things actually. There's and it's a mixture of stuff from both Truing Star and from Pale in there now. They even actually have some one or two, and there's like security around it, so you can't like get super close. But they actually have some artifacts from Laco in the exhibit. But there's some sculptures, there's some paintings, there's a couple like little holographic light art pieces, and that's pretty much what you see. The artifacts are just they look like they look metal,
Okay.
but they're completely uncorroded, and they have some glyphs on them that you have no idea, uh, and and they're not like regularly shaped. They're very odd shaped, but and it says this. One of them has a little placard. It says located near, and it gives some location on Laco in FY40, FY37 by so and so, origin unknown, purpose unknown. It gives its weight. It's not as dense as lead, but or even as iron, but it's heavier than aluminum. Kind of its average density. It's something. It's heavy. It's lighter than pure silicate rock, but so you have no, you know, and the other one, that's the one. The second one is a disc, and again, it's this material that it gives its weight and its size and all that kind of stuff. You realize it's this, whatever it is, it's about the same density as the other stuff, but it's a disc with some sort of a design imprinted, geometric glyphs and things like that, design like impressed onto the side, and then there's a picture of the obverse side, which is just, there's nothing. It's just perfectly smooth, and so those are their little local
treasures.
treasures, yeah, from Laco that they've managed to acquire for the ship. So, but that's down there in that display as well. But yeah, you can definitely spend some time down in the art exhibit, and some of them even have price tags on them that they're for sale by the artist, and others don't. And they range anywhere from several hundred to several tens of thousands of credits for the different pieces. So.
Several leagues out of my range.
I'm telling you, you just hand me what you got. I'll be back in a few hours.
No.
I'm ready for another no from Shane in the chat window. No. There you go.
There you go. Make it happen.
All right. So, you kind of get into kind of get comfortable, settled into the ship. You're enjoying the trip. It's kind of relaxing. You don't really have anything you need to do, and it's very considering your last few weeks. It's it's a nice break. Peaceful,
I like
yes. And so about four and a half days in, the captain that morning, the ship-wide PA system activates, and the captain tells everyone, greets everyone. He says, today's jump day will be headed to we'll be making the transition from Truing Star to Dixon Star in about 5 hours from now. Just wanted to give everybody a heads up. About 3 hours out, we will give everyone the warning to head to wherever you want to be to watch or experience the jump. If you're feeling brave, the observation decks are definitely an experience. If you're feeling not as brave, you can hang out in any of the lounges or the theaters. And for those who are really not, for very faint of heart, your cabins are perfectly acceptable. But if you've never made a void jump before, you should talk with those who have, or talk with the crew member. Find out if you have any questions. Feel free to ask. So continue to enjoy your day, and we'll let you know when it's time to start preparing. About an hour before the jump, we'll transition back to zero gravity. So make sure all of your belongings are stored once we give the 2-hour warning. That'll give you about an hour to get everything stowed and for the crew to shut things down. Then we'll have about a 2-hour period around the jump itself, an hour before here in Truing Star, an hour in Dixon Star system as we check everything out. And then we'll get back underway and get the ship turned around and get the gravity back on. So, talk to you in a couple hours. And it shuts off.
Really, I want to see this. You guys have all done this.
Today's the day to hang out at the observation lounge and observe the people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so for those of you, so Rennie, have you made interstellar jumps before? Or have you only been here in the star system?
I probably only would have been in the star system.
Okay, so you've never made a void jump. John, I know, has made a void jump. I know Jill has. The others aren't here, so I'll do this with them next time they're back. But one of the things I have in my setting is an actual void sickness that you may or may not be susceptible to. So for those of you who have made jumps before, you have the choice of either declaring, it's fairly rare, so it's not something that comes up a lot, but you can either declare yourself as not susceptible, or if you want to be, you can declare yourself as susceptible, or I'll let you roll too, so it's up to you two, for Jill and Chikara, whether they want to be susceptible, be not, or roll.
I'll roll.
I'm not susceptible.
Okay. So, we'll just go ahead and do that right now. Everybody just make a D100 roll. If you're not susceptible, John, then you don't have to.
Okay.
You are not, Jill.
Yay!
Perfectly iron constitution when it comes to a void jump.
And eating Rusk food.
How
And eating
boring.
Rusk food. Okay, you're safe, Shane. No, Angel, you're fine too. Like I said, it's actually very rare. So you have to roll the way it works is, you when you make your first void jump, you basically have to just make a roll, and unless you roll a 96 to 100, you're perfectly fine to make void jumps.
Okay.
But it is a progressive, debilitating condition. So once you've failed your roll, whatever your roll is your chance to succeed going forward, and anytime you fail, it reduces by 1%. So if you roll like a 98, the next time you have to roll a 98 or less, and you're fine. But if you roll a 99 or 100, you're sick, and your resistance drops to 97. So
Okay.
but you guys are all fine. So you guys will never suffer from this. You only have to make the roll one time. If you make it the first time, you never have a problem ever. I may change that in later life, but for adventurers, it's not an issue.
Cool.
But if you are susceptible and you make lots of jumps, it eventually gets worse and worse to the point that you don't even want to get on a starship. But it doesn't affect you guys. You pick a planet and you settle down.
No BAs in the group, huh?
So what was that, John?
I don't have to. No BA Baracuses in the
Nope,
in the
not
group.
in this group. Not maybe our people who aren't here. We'll make them roll when they come back, and see if any of them are susceptible to it. But it's like I said, it's a fairly rare condition, but it is something that I do like to have in my setting. So just to kind of make it a little bit interesting. So you might encounter people. That's why the captain makes the announcement. If you know you have issues with void jumps, see a staff member. So okay, you head down to the which observation deck do you want? Do you want the central one, the larger central one, or one of the two smaller fore and aft ones?
I want the big one with all the people. I want to see somebody get sick and.
Okay. Does everybody want to go to that one?
Best idea, because they're gonna get sick and then we're gonna go into 0G.
Oh, you'll be in 0G long before the void jump.
No, but the sick will be in 0G
Yeah.
a while too.
Oh, I dropped off for a second there. Sorry.
Yeah, I should add the rolling thing to this Discord server, but I never have. Okay, so you the announcement comes on from the captain saying we're 2 hours from jump. Please secure all belongings. Hey, Eric.
Hey,
Eric? Oh, he's not in the chat room yet. He's just on Discord. And there he is. You're alive. He's alive. Good. Hey, Eric, roll D100.
Yeah, okay, I'm dead.
Oh, come on, we all did it. Well, no, I didn't, but everyone else did.
Yeah, John did. All right, you're safe. So you do not suffer from the rare void sickness disease. So
Suffer from what?
the rare void sickness.
Oh, okay. I
Unless you want to.
no.
No, say no. Say no.
Come on, we're still looking for our BA Baracus that we have to drug every time we take him somewhere.
Eric, you've made interstellar trips before, right? Your character, or has he always been on Pale?
No, I think he's probably been some. Well, no, wait a minute. He was from the mines and grew up in the mine. He's probably always been on Pale.
All right, so this is actually your
A fellow pale
you're
guy.
not you're also this is also Angel's character's first trip off planet. So all right, so you guys are on the ship. You're basically about to make the void jump from Truing Star to Dixon Star. So that's why I was having everybody roll to see if they're susceptible to this rare void sickness condition. So nobody is, so we're holding out for Zolki to suffer from it. No, we're not.
One must suffer.
We're more than happy if nobody does. So you're on the observation deck. They've got like chairs set out so everybody can be strapped in if they want to, because it is zero gravity at this point. You're just floating. You don't have to be, but there's Velcro shoes and chairs that have like seat belts that you can strap yourself down if you want.
Look, I'm touching the walls and the ceiling and the floor all at once.
Not in this room.
This room is big.
This room's big. It's got a high ceiling. Well, relatively high. It's got a 5-meter ceiling. And the ship is about 45 meters in diameter, and this room takes up almost the whole deck. So it's got glass all around, so you can see out. It's the big observation deck amidship.
I'll bet you he's doing a great job of securing all the chairs near him.
Yep.
Making sure they don't float away.
Or they do with him. They're reaction masks once you get away from the wall.
It's that Stretch Armstrong time, man.
I used to love that toy.
Yeah.
Don't pull too hard.
Okay, so you guys head back to your cabin. You get everything secured.
Yeah.
And then you head out to the observation deck. And there's a pretty good crowd there. It's nowhere near like packed, but there's probably 100 people on the deck. Which for Eric, that's probably be about 20% of the ship's passenger complement. And the captain, after about the half-hour mark, the captain starts giving updates every few minutes about what's going on and how they've checked the final jump calculations and everything's lined up, or just the crew is making sure everything's secure as they work through the ship, and then about 2 minutes before, probably about 10 minutes before jump, the captain comes on again and she says, for those of you who have never made a jump before, it can be slightly disorienting, as you've probably heard from friends and the crew. But the jump only lasts, in this case, it's only about 5 seconds, as we're making a 5 light year jump. And there'll be a very brief burst of acceleration to push us into jump speed, and then we'll be out on the other side in just a few seconds. So everybody sit back. We've got about 2 minutes to go, and we'll be in Dixon Star. And then right beforehand, she does a little countdown, and says engaging jump, and she says now, and everything goes crazy. I mean, colors are inverted. You can taste sounds, and you can feel colors, and it is just the strangest sensation you have ever had in your life. And then it's over. It seemed like it seemed longer than it was, but then it was over, and you were back in normal space. And the captain says, "Welcome to Dixon Star," and a cheer goes up from some of the passengers. But
dude, we gotta do that again.
it is definitely a very trippy experience. And I did a picture once. I wonder if I can still find it. I'll have to post it really quick. I know I can still find it because I know right where it is. I've got to open a tag. I'm going to grab it. Oh, never mind. No, I'm not.
Oh.
Alright, that didn't work. Oh, there it is.
Did you add XP to my experience?
I didn't. So you get that, if you're scrolling back through, you get 530 credits
Yeah.
and 3 XP. You can add those in. I'll just give you guys the link because I can't grab the picture easy. But if you go to that website, which was an old podcast I did like 9 years ago, did like 5 episodes, but the little banner picture at the very top.
Gonna have to zoom in here.
Okay. Is it sort of like when he entered into the Tron when he got sucked into the computer?
Kind of like that, yeah.
All right, cool. I can picture that.
Hey, where's that picture? Head.
That just looks like fun.
I don't even remember how I made that picture. Oh well, I can't find the link. I can't believe that site is still up. It's running on a really, really old version of WordPress. Anyway, so you make the transition, and none of you suffer from the. There are a couple people that, like, as you go into that, you just, I mean, you think they were screaming, but you feel it is just like this reverberation, and you feel it more than you hear it. Like they were like freaked out or something, and then it was over, and then they're like a couple people breathing kind of heavy, and there's some people that have the same reaction to John's like, do it again, do it again.
Cows don't see color.
Yeah, you
It's
did
boring.
for a moment.
Well,
You smelt them anyways, or tasted them. So the but for the most part, some people were kind of freaked out. You see the whole range of emotions in the crowd there. Some people were like, yeah, just another jump. Others were like freaking out when it was all over, and some were visibly green around the edges, and they weren't brusque. And so yeah, any range. And then after a few minutes, people kind of talk about it, especially those who had never done it before. They're kind of animated about discussing it with the people they were with, and then people start to drift off. Captain comes on. She says, "Yeah, we're rotating the ship now," and you can see the starfield outside just wheeling as the entire ship spins 180 degrees to flip engine first towards Laco.
okay, so to decelerate.
Yeah,
Okay,
to start
that's cool.
decelerating, and
That's
and
cool.
it's really slow. So it's not like a really quick turn. It's like you didn't even feel the acceleration that started the ship turning. Partially because you guys are almost amidship, so if you were out on the aft or fore observation decks, you'd have felt it more. But the ship's turning relatively slowly. You figure it's going to take 10 minutes to make the 180-degree rotation. So they just fired a little bit of maneuvering thrusters to start the ship rotating, so that people didn't have to be strapped in that. She says, yeah, we'll get the ship into position in the next 10 or 15 minutes, and then we'll start bringing the gravity back up. Again, it'll be about 0.95 like it was on the outbound trip for the first couple of days, and then we'll ramp up to near Laco gravity of 1.3 Gs the last day or so. The astrogator is determining our exact position now, and we'll have an announcement in about an hour or so of how long the inbound leg is actually going to take, based on where we are in the system and where Laco is. So, well, more information to come, but be prepared in a little bit for the return of gravity.
Yeah, I'm gonna enjoy this.
And when are the pirates going to come? This is turning into a boring trip.
It's peaceful.
You should be
Peaceful
the
trip.
pirate.
Okay, so she comes back on a little bit. Did you guys do anything in the intervening time? You can stay in the observation deck and head back to your cabins.
We'll play
So Eric,
Frabba.
you guys all have individual small cabins all on the same deck, kind of in a row. On the outer hull, you have a porthole that sees out from your cabin. You guys are all on what deck? I said deck 18, I think. There's 54
Yeah.
decks on the ship, of which you have access to more than half of them, but some of them you don't.
I'm probably going to read my book.
Okay. So the captain comes on. He goes, "All right, we've determined our exact position. We're actually going to go under a little bit less gravity on the first step, so we'll be at 0.85 instead of 0.95. We came in a little further out in the system than we planned, so we'll keep up our jump speed a little higher. That way we'll get in on our scheduled time." And let us know if you have any questions or any needs. And she signs off again. And then over the course of the next 20 minutes, the gravity starts just building up again as the engines come back online.
Feet start touching the floor.
Yep. Your feet are firmly on the floor once more.
Now, Jill, you wanted to go try to hit the cargo room, right?
What
Oh,
was
yeah.
Was it
that?
you?
No, I wanted to. I was hoping to see if there were ways of sneaking into where the cargo was.
You actually don't have to sneak. If you want to get to your explorer, the crew can take you down there.
Okay, because I've been away for too long. I
Yeah.
want to go see my baby.
So, and you could have done this before the jump too. I forgot you'd asked about that. You talk with one of the crew, and they tell you, yeah, if you need to get anything out, you guys have a vehicle. If it was just like box storage, that wouldn't be possible. But the vehicles are on their own deck, and there's space around them, so we can get down to those. And you basically just have to you go. There's an office on one of the decks that you go to, and tell them that you want to go down there, and then they schedule a time for a crew member to take you down. And they get you on the main elevators, and they take you down to the lowest deck that you can reach. So I guess deck 49, that you can reach from the public elevators, and they say, "Well, follow me. We'll go over to the crew access elevators," and they swipe their card, and the elevator opens up. One of the side elevators opens up, and they get in there, and he hits the button for deck 52, and you guys drop down a couple decks, and you come out into what's obviously a cargo deck because it's just a big open space. The ceilings here are about 4 meters. They're a little higher than the normal ones. And right outside the the elevator, there are just floor to ceiling these meter or 2 meter cube rectangle, but fairly uniform sized cargo containers that are attached to the floor to the and like they like form columns. They're like all the way up to the ceiling, and they're tied down and secured, and they're in like blocks and groups, but there's like meter and a half wide passages, like alleyways between them. And he goes, all right. He looks at his little data pad and he goes, okay. And he rattles off a number. He goes, follow me. And you wind through those, a little bit of those, and then those go away, and you see, let's see, how big is the deck? You see about 20 vehicles. There's several explorers. There's some ground cars, a couple air cars, a number of motorcycles, hover vehicles, just all kinds of different vehicles. And you see your explorer, black with the red stripe down the side, kind of halfway across the deck from where you're at when you clear the vehicles take up about 2/3 of the deck, and then the rest of these cargo units. But you see it, and he walks you between the vehicles and takes you over to your explorer.
Well, that's good. I was a little bit worried that it would be hard to spot.
Now we don't see. Okay, do we see other vehicles here?
You do.
You see a bunch, right?
Yeah, there's a variety of vehicles. There's your Explorer is one of the bigger vehicles. Mostly it's things like hover cars, ground cars, motorcycles, hover cycles. There's a couple air cars. They look basically like people's personal vehicles.
Okay. So no other explorers. All right, because I
Oh,
want to
no,
see.
there are a couple other Explorers.
Oh, okay.
But they're
None
just
that have the logo from the mercenaries, right?
no. There's no mercenary ones. There's no PGC.
Right,
There's no Streel. Again,
Alright.
everything in there looks either
Personal.
factory standard paint schemes or personalized. There's a few vehicles that have got like custom paint jobs like yours, but for the most part, they just look like people's cars.
All right, cool. All right, and I want to check on the vehicle and make sure everything's okay.
Okay. So you get in and everything looks fine. It's actually plugged into a socket on the ground, so it stays charged. And
excellent.
all your stuff looks secure. It looks like a couple things rattled loose, which you guys then secure back down, either in the acceleration or the flip over or whatever, because it's been very smooth. You had the little bit of maneuvering once to get out of the station docking, and then the flip around at the void jump. But beyond that, you haven't noticed any maneuvering at all. You're assuming there was some to do course corrections, but it was nothing compared to the constant gravity main acceleration.
From one ship to another. I was worried about that a bit.
Yeah, so that's probably where it rattled loose. Was actually there was more movement of the Explorer when the work pad grabbed it and moved it over to this ship than anything else. And all the tires are deflated. For the most part, and it's actually kind of sitting on blocks to support it, and then it's tied down. Yes, there are vehicles. There are cameras in the cargo bay.
We're not taking somebody's bike and putting it in our Explorer. No.
Well, then there's a crew member right there. But yeah, so like tires and that they deflated because you were going into a vacuum,
Right.
and so the Explorer itself is airtight, so doesn't look like any of your seals ruptured. Um,
Okay, good.
and everything you give it a look over, and everything looks fine. Uh, um, and it's tied down pretty tight, strapped down over the suspension and that, so it's not going to wiggle around, and it's definitely secured to the deck. It's not going anywhere.
All right. So I pat her on the side and I say, "Don't worry, baby. We're gonna be off this soon. Just want to make sure you were okay and everything's good." I say that to my car now.
That's fine. The guy just smiles. He's seen it. He's seen it before. He'll see it again.
I'm sure. So
He
it
actually
looks like
comments
there's
on your Explorer. He goes, "What's the plate up front for? That's not something you see every day."
We're
Oh,
dealing with.
that's
And after he sees which one is yours, he starts talking to you about it, because it's fairly unique compared to all the other vehicles in the cargo bay. So it definitely stood out. And
We need to get some red lights for the front that flash back and forth.
it's gonna be A-Team and Kit mixed together.
There you go.
Awesome. Oh my god. So yeah, I tell him about the car and
All right.
some of the adventures that we've gone through. Heck yeah.
While he's telling me about the car, I'm just kind of curious, taking a look at some of the other cars nearby.
Okay.
Just I don't know what I'm looking for. Just
Aston Martin.
Yeah, there isn't one of those. Sorry. No, you
What
look.
about a Tesla Roadster? I hear they go well in space.
Well, the Tesla Roadster is the precursor for the Star Frontier's ground car. You realize that, right? It's an electric vehicle.
Yeah, there you go.
There are a couple of those, I guess, because there are some ground cars there. I mean, right by your Explorer, there's another Explorer nearby yours, because they kind of put the bigger ones there together. And then they put in the smaller ones around them. But for the most part, I mean, there's nothing remarkable about any of them. They look like people's personal. Some of them have some bags strapped down in the back seats, and as you start to get close to one of them, the guy calls out, "Don't touch anything. And you're allowed to touch your vehicle, but no one else's." And so he's obviously keeping an eye on you even while he's talking to
Okay.
check. And but yeah, it looks like. I mean, some of them are just completely empty inside. They look like whoever had them just cleaned everything out, so there wasn't anything to float around. Others look like they've been stuffed full of basically extra storage space in the vehicle, some extra luggage that they wanted to take with them.
I read a note earlier about somebody buying drinks before we left. I hope they didn't leave soda in the vehicle.
No, that was on the station. The vehicle was already stowed long before that happened.
That would be kind of boom.
So, well, like I say, for the most part, the vehicle actually stayed pressurized. So, the Explorer itself is sealed. So, you might not. Only if you had a failure would you get that.
I want to try that.
What, a soda in space?
I want to find an airlock and eject the
Yeah.
You can make your own vacuum chamber. Just go to the King of Random on YouTube. He shows you how to make one, and then
he got in
put the
trouble
soda in there.
recently for explosives.
Huh?
He did. He has to make safety videos now and explain to people not to blow things up in their backyard.
That's sad.
He does not.
Tell people to do that.
He does not, but he did get a few demonetized.
Well, his neighbors complained about him, and so I guess ATF came down on him. Something like that.
Oh,
That's
man.
funny. Anyway, so anything else you want to do with the Explorer and the cargo bay? You don't find anything really interesting in the cargo bay. It looks like stuff's. Some of it looks like it's designed for Laco, kind of a little more rugged, and that other of it looks like it's probably going further on into the frontier.
Okay. No, I just wanted to check and make sure that she was okay.
All right, yeah, everything looks to be okay.
Let her know I missed her.
After you're done, he takes you back up, talking to you, listening to your stories about your decals on the side of your Explorer.
How
And,
earn you.
Some of them are scratch and sniff.
especially during the void jump.
so you get back up. He takes you back up to deck 49, where you're back into where you guys have access, and says, "Well, if you need anything else, just let us know. Enjoy talking with you. Have a good trip." And he heads off.
Pleasure speaking with you as well. Take care.
So
Right,
okay.
yeah.
So if the pirates attack, we know where we can go to hide out. We just gotta snag an employee and steal their badge.
Yep. Yes.
Or try to jury rig the security on the door.
Safe.
What was
There
that,
you
Eric?
go.
I said Explorer's escape pod doesn't sound very safe.
Well, you have no motion control, but you might be able to survive in it for a little while.
Well, re-entry's gonna suck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
assuming you're on a trajectory that allows re-entry.
Last time I saw
Yeah.
that ride was in Dark Star.
As Clyde Tombaugh used to say when he would get asked why there aren't more collisions, space is really, really big and planets are really, really small.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of hard to hit them.
Oh.
So,
That's a little
But what about that rogue planet that's gonna totally mess up our Earth?
yeah. Anyway, moving on.
things to piss off an astronomer.
Supermoon kills me every year. Yeah, okay. It's 5% bigger. Anyways, that one in the calendar ones. This month has 3 Mondays and 4 Thursdays, and it's the only time. No, it's a perpetual calendar. We only have 14 different possible calendars. They repeat on a 21-year cycle. I'm sorry. And that's the rare ones. The rare ones repeat on a 42-year cycle. The common ones repeat every 6 years. Anyways, I'm off that.
Breathe.
You can fit every calendar you'll ever need for your entire life on a 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper.
I had one of those perpetual calendars with the NASA. It had like all kinds of NASA stuff on it, and
so
you
anyway,
had to sit there and, anyway.
Hey, Tom,
yeah.
this anger that you're feeling, have you felt it the most when dealing with reporters?
I haven't had to deal with very many reporters. I moved and started telecommuting right before that had to happen.
Okay. When I go off on rants like that, it's usually when I've had to do an article or something. Someone's interviewing me.
Yeah. No,
and they try to, you explain to them in detail what your job is, and they're like, "So basically, you're saying this." No, that's not what I said at all.
No, I'm really not.
Basically, no.
Yeah. No, I actually had media training when I first started working at Goddard. After about a year or two there, the guy in charge of the Science Support Center signed me up for the media training course they did. It was like a couple-day thing where we went in and, what to wear and how to act and kinds of things to say and how to prepare statements and that, and they videotaped us and that, which I've never dared to watch.
I never did.
And but I think he had intentions of me being one of the people that would do things like that when we had to do press conferences and that. But then I moved and started telecommuting, so I wasn't around anymore. So I think I dodged that bullet. But
Lucky.
Shoot, nowadays that wouldn't make a difference.
yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly. So I've been trained. I know how to do it. So I actually, it's not something I would have minded doing, but I just thought it was funny because I was like the only one in the group that got sent to it. I'm like, is this like a indication? Either I'm really bad at talking to people, or
Well, nobody else wanted to go.
or well, he didn't ask me. He just signed me up for
I
it.
just figured that the way you were angry about that was like questions you had heard from people.
No, I just it kills me sometimes. I'm just like, come on, people, think. Do a little bit of research. This is stuff I've known since I was like 10.
No. It's all magic.
It's all magic, I know. All right. No, that was our,
If we write the rules this way, would the universe work this way?
yeah,
Oh, I'm so
exactly.
tired of that. People would come to me. If we wrote the rules this way, would it all work this way? And it's like, no, those are the laws of physics.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Electricity only moves, maybe in the electrical engineering. Electricity only moves the way God made it.
That's right. You can't change it.
It's the only way it can go.
Yep. All right. Well, as you get closer to the planet, unless there's anything specific you want to do, your chronocoms, you get a message on your chronocoms from Streel, and there's a couple bits of information there. The first is they give you the name and contact of who you need to meet up with at the Streel compound in Tyrell's Landing. And I'm looking for a note I made. This is what I get for not
I got hungry.
typing up my notes. But they tell you, the other bit of information you get is that the ship that the lady had the contact information for, the chronocom number for, in that file that you guys lifted, it is docked at Laco Station and will be there for a couple more days.
Dude, that's the ship that took down ours, isn't it? I'm sure.
Well, that's the one they think that's the current guess, is that is probably the ship that fired on the little shuttle that you guys rescued.
Data recorders.
Dude, we got to get on board that thing.
Or get near enough to hack. See if we can access, I don't know.
Near enough to break
Or-
in and
or-
steal it.
Meet the crew and, get all talky with them, and when they're sauced up, get them to talk about their adventures. See if it comes out.
I wrote the name of that ship down somewhere, but I don't remember where I put it. So I can't find the note paper at the moment.
Maybe we could get
Oh, there it
hired
is.
on there and do some more double
Dawn's
dipping.
Glow, that's what it's called. It's the
Dawn's Glow.
KSS Dawn's Glow. It's registered out of Kistakar. And it is docked at Pale Station, or at Laco Station, which is where you guys will be docking. And its scheduled departure is 3 days from now.
Ooh,
So, and those
how
are
many days before we get there?
you guys. This is like you're hours away from docking. This is you're
Okay,
close to the
cool.
planet, and basically a big data transmission dump comes up to the ship and gets distributed out to chronocoms and things like that. And so you see people all around the ship getting messages, just bing 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 bing. Everybody's things go off, and um, it's just
There
that
you
like the
go.
daily transmission to the ship, but it's a few hours out from docking, um, and you as you approach Laco Station, it's not nearly as big as um, Pale Station. Uh, it's whereas Pale Station was probably three hull size 6 station hulls linked together. Uh, Laco Station is a single hull size 5. So it's about it's still a kilometer in diameter. Um, and its docking hub is not quite as big, but it's still big enough to accept your ship. Uh, and your ship is by far and away the largest ship. Well, it's not. There's one other larger vessel in there. Um, and so you guys go through docking. Um, you It takes you a couple hours to get off the ship because you've got to reclaim your weapons at the station. They get those back to you, and then you have to go through security on the station where they, you know, tag your weapons again. They don't take them from you, but they tag them so that they, basically can monitor them. Uh, and they recommend that you not carry them and stow them, but
Yeah,
and
stow
and
this.
you get out into the docking area of the hub is very much like the one on Pale Station, and you go over to the board and you see the Dawn's Glow is registered there as a ship on the station, and it lists
Hmm.
docking bay.
Are they looking for passengers
I
or
think
anything
that's
No,
like
it's
that?
docking
Is
bay
it's
there a little...
it's
427.
just what
I think that's
40
docking bay 427.
427. And there's not that many docking bays on the station. Um, and so yeah, it's just listed. It doesn't say anything about it. It's just all of the ships in the docking bay are listed there. Yours and yours, the ship you just got off is there. Um, and there's a number of
What's
others.
that other big ship that you said is in there?
It looks like a freighter. I mean, you didn't see any markings on it
Hmm.
coming in.
Did it look like a frisbee with
Oh no,
some...
it's fairly uh no, it's long. Like most frontier ships, they're built long and
Oh,
relatively
okay.
narrow. So I mean, the other ship is comparable in size to the Starliner you came in on. It's a little bit smaller, but not by much.
Okay.
Um, are you gonna touch the name of the ship?
Yes.
And it highlights that other big ship. So that other big ship is the Dawn's Glow.
Oh,
Oh,
how
okay.
convenient. Um. Okay, so we need
There
to...
were other big ships around, but they're not big enough to fit in the docking area, so they're like parked outside. Um, it looks like your ship that you came in on is probably the biggest ship the station can accept.
Yeah. Okay. So the Dawn's Glow. That to me sounds like a perfect pirate ship. I wonder if they're hiring.
I
How
think
do
they
we
would
get
probably recruit
closer?
in the roughest bar they find on this place.
There are a few of them.
All right.
Okay, well, it's stopping time.
Okay. That's because I'm falling asleep.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll pick up there. You guys can decide what you want to do. You have that's the other bit of information that came in on your Chronicom. I'll give you this now. Your scheduled shuttle to the surface is in 4 hours.
Okay, so we don't have long.
Now, if you want, you could possibly get that changed because their shuttle's going down all the time. But the one they've got you booked on right now is you need to be on board in about 3.5 hours, and it departs in 4.
Okay.
Okay. Just so that's another bit of information that you have.
So if we want to blow up the Dawn's Glow, we got to be quick about it.
I don't know if we necessarily need to blow it up. We need to find out if it was the ship that fired upon us. When we got a whole company behind us,
Yeah.
if we finger them,
know, if you want to do things the hard way, I guess we could look for actual evidence and stuff.
The sensible way.
because maybe the solution is once it's out in deep space, another Streel or not so Streel, but funded by Streel ship shows up and blows apart. Those things happen out there. Pirates, and pirates, and
I kept looking for them pirates to raid our ship. I just, it was a boring
I missed
fight.
I missed it by 2. Sorry.
I enjoyed the trip. Thank you very much.
I think we need to.
You're on a passenger liner. Is the least exciting vessel you can travel on.
Right. Blowing up the ship is one thing, but then who did they dump here? Are they changing crews? Are we leaving important people planet side that might need to get taken care of as well?
Or are they working another job here, and this time they're trying to just snag as many artifacts as they can?
But did you say that the Dawn's Glow is scheduled to leave soon?
Yes. It's scheduled to leave in 3 days.
3 days. In 4 hours, we're supposed to be planet side.
We should probably just tell people we're going planet side and stay up.
So
What was that, Shane? You were really quiet.
We should probably just make it look like we're going planet side, but stay on the station. If anyone's tracking us.
That's not a bad idea.
But if they're leaving in 4 days, they probably don't have whatever cargo they're after yet.
True.
That's probably still going on planet side. Nor do I think
they don't have the cargo. We know they don't have the cargo yet because you're still here.
Well, no. If you've got hot cargo, are you going to transfer it inside the station, or are you going to go out and then transfer it in orbit?
Okay.
But I'm gonna have to talk to someone on the station to arrange that.
I mean, you park here to do maintenance and fuel and all that stuff. But if you got a hot cargo, you don't do it right in front of the officials.
That wouldn't be
why
wise.
not? Nobody would suspect it. They would never leave. They would see it and go, "That can't be hot cargo," because nobody would do that here.
They don't know what.
Depends on how big it is, what it looks like. Oh, look at that giant carved sphinx from 2 million years ago.
It must be a fake.
That's right.
And nobody's watching CNN, are they? Yeah, giant sphinx disappears from surface.
I can
Yeah.
tell you some of the things I've seen in my job where people have illegally brought over things, pieces of pottery, and you have to report it, but
Yeah.
where they paint it with watercolors to make it look like tourist trap pottery,
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Oh,
geez.
jeez.
and then you wash it off when you get across the border, and you're like, oh god, I'm not going to repair this because I'm going to get in trouble if I do.
Wow.
Maybe that's what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're taking pretty relics. I think they're taking tech. If they take something.
Well, what does tech look like?
It's got blinking lights and makes neat noises.
That could be a fidget spinner. Um, all right, well, I'm gonna head out then, guys.
All right.
Oh,
Talk to everybody later.
All
Have a
right.
good
Have a
night.
good week.
Yep. Have a good
Have a good
weekend,
one.
guys.
Yeah.
ooh.